sounds great. Yeah, I did it. All right. Now I'm not gonna mess around with that shit anymore this episode. We're gonna take it nice and easy with our just talking, because YouTube. Well, we know how to deal with that now. So going forward, we will be more strategic with our usage of our fair use of copyright materials.
Oh, I have a really good story about that actually.
Oh, yeah.
I need to talk about. So I don't know how many of our watchers have seen this, but you know that video of me in the tree with Toto and the
Yes.
banana and the cat. So I do the thing where I share stuff on Instagram in the app on my phone, and then I say also share to Twitter and Facebook.
Mm.
So when you upload this stuff, you immediately get an email like, "Hey, it has a copyrighted song in it." All you do is you follow the notification and you say, "Yeah, it's cool." That's the entire review process.
Right. Oh yeah. So and then it's like YouTube's is similar, but the idea is that on YouTube you dispute it, and then it goes to them, and like if they're reasonable, they'll be like,
right. No, but
whatever.
someone actually does something on Instagram. It literally you're just like,
oh,
no,
yeah.
it's cool.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah.
And then it's like, it's been posted, and I have no idea if that goes in a queue or what. Like if maybe somebody looks at it later, but it just like. Boom.
Man. Okay, I don't want to hear the echo of us. Sorry, I'm just trying to post the thing.
Yeah.
One of these days I'm gonna like get the hang of producing and being on the show at the same time with video and stuff.
It's our Gonzo podcast.
All right. Okay. So, yes. So among other, other interesting things, since this is all, it's actually pretty relevant to the podcast anyway. So because of the YouTube stuff, I ended up getting us mirrored on Vimeo. And also I realized that I could upload the videos all to the Facebook account too. So I did that. So all our video episodes will be on all three places, so that if we have any issue with one platform,
Two.
And but the funny thing is, what I was concerned about was when I uploaded them to Facebook, because they have their own. It's not like nobody's as hardcore as YouTube yet, but they're getting there. They're trying to catch up. I know Vimeo has a thing, but they're supposed to be very reasonable about, like, they really get fair use. That was like their whole like angle from the beginning, is they were for like professionals who wanted to host really high quality. Like their video always looks better than YouTube. Yeah. So anyway, what I realized was, so I put it up to Facebook. The funny thing was on YouTube, I ended up taking down the 5-Finger Death Punch episode because it was those two really bad. Like it was obvious they were like, the video was full screen and it was front to finish. Those were the two clear, like you can't show this anywhere thing. So it's like, okay, fine. I'll edit it and like re-upload it later with things that'll fool you. But I uploaded that one to Facebook, and it didn't get anything flagged at all. So that's why I ran it. It was a bad ad, and I need to like design a better ad. But I was like, it was a good enough episode, and the fact that it didn't flag anything, and the fact that I was so annoyed by it getting flagged, I like ran an ad with it. And it was also like, it didn't help. I mean, it said it was about 5-Finger Death Punch. And if you know who they are, you may know the song "I Apologize." So the title is just "I Apologize" or "I Don't Apologize" because of the stuff. So anyway, I mean, I guess we got our streaming privileges back, which if you're watching this right now because we're live on YouTube. But we can also stream to Facebook if we have to, or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, and everything will be everywhere anyway. Is the idea. So watch wherever you like, and tell your friends. And yeah. So Fyre Festival is our main topic today. Although, should we actually do the smaller stuff first, since there's a lot of, I mean, I got like I have the 4 phases of the, like 4 articles of the Fyre Festival unfolding in as what a disaster it was. I hadn't heard of it until it blew up as this whole thing.
Yeah, I don't follow a lot of influencers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Actually, so yeah, before we get to that, let's do our nerdy prog stuff first. So the Pain of Salvation, which is a band, if you haven't heard of them, we like a lot. And there's some okay. So there was the recent album where it was a big deal that the second guitar player who had joined Ragnar Zolberg, is it?
Yeah,
Ragnar something.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah. He not only was he pulling a lot of weight in terms of he was helping out with a lot of the high vocals and stuff like that, but he wrote a lot on the album. Like they wrote it together, which I guess is the first time that's happened since probably like 1 Hour by the Concrete Lake, and he also they used at least 2 songs that were his previous band. So like he wrote them and they were on albums with his old band.
Oh.
And you can look up the original and be
Wait,
like,
which ones?
Meaningless is one of them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's the best song on the album.
Right? It's
Like,
so
by
this
far.
is why this whole thing is really crazy because
I just need to say something real quick for people who have no idea what we're talking about. So go on YouTube and look up Pain of Salvation Meaningless, because the video features supposed necrophilia.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And also, they play it. There's like a weird Sergeant Pepper moment where they're like the band is playing in so they're not sailor suits, but they're white like Sergeant Pepper band leader things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, yeah, that's the best song in the album. And if it didn't have the like whisper parts,
oh yeah,
it would legit
and
be
that's
an
the thing.
awesome song.
This is what's so crazy. So okay, so not only like they say that he wrote the album with him, meaning that he must have had input on other songs that Daniel probably was mostly writing, but the ones that he used, he changed a word, get a third of them. Like changed,
Daniel did?
Yeah, he changed some of the lyrics.
Oh man.
And I mean, I guess to fit the like the concept or whatever, but they still kind of barely do. Like it's really loosely.
He needed to up the amount of pain in them.
Yeah, and well, okay, so this is all extremely relevant to the whole lineup change situation because this is why I was so shocked by it because not only
We gotta make one other quick point first. The other thing people need to understand is that this dude Ragnar looks like Sebastian Bach, like a young Sebastian Bach.
He looks like
he's a very pretty man.
He looks like he's from the 80s, but not in the way where we're like born in the 80s. He just looks like it is the 80s in his mind right now.
It's the 80s and it never ended. And from all the female fans I know of the band, they were very appreciative of this fact of Ragnar. And then he did that whole thing with the glitter and the contacts and stuff.
And I have
it was really glam rocked out.
His whole thing also, it's going to factor into this later because I have some theories. But in the wildly speculating part of the show,
nice. The Alex Jones
part. Yes, we're gonna establish the things we know to be true, and then I'm gonna wildly speculate about their meaning.
Okay, great.
With ability to confirm or.
This is our socially responsible info war.
Yes, music wars.
War on for your ears. We should just change the name of the podcast
Music Wars.
Music Wars.
There's a war on for your ears. They don't want you to hear Pain of Salvation.
We'll talk about mind control through garbage, through the influencers.
Yes,
we'll get to
influencers.
I'm just calling it right now. This is Music Wars, episode 1. This is Your Music is Bad, episode 53.
But also Music
Wars episode 1.
Because the music war has begun.
That's worth declaring war.
I want to go to space. That's my favorite of the the Young Turks has like perfectly soundboarded certain Alex Jones quotes. That is my favorite. He's like, I want to go to space. It's like, yeah, cool, man, me too. But like,
and a lot of us probably want you to also go to space.
Right, you are welcome to go there, especially if you don't have a way to get back. So
off blast.
Okay, so they wrote. He wrote the album. The other thing is that they were so very public about, like, I don't know if it was intentional, but it was basically good marketing. All over social media, it was all about the bromance between Daniel and Ragnar.
Again,
I'm
really
not
glad,
kidding, and I'm not exaggerating.
I'm really glad I
am
don't
not
follow
kidding.
a lot of influencers right
and I am not. Well, these are Prague influencers.
Yeah, I know, but I missed all of this. Wait, so there was a bromance subtext? Was this made up by the Prague media?
No, this was like from the band, right? No,
Okay.
it was
Was it just from Daniel and Ragnar, or was it from other members of the band who's like, it's been really beautiful to watch their romance?
well, probably the whole band is like relatively new, so they're all super psyched about it.
One other point we need to bring up for people who don't know what we're talking about. This is a band that used to also have Daniel's brother in it, which doesn't anymore.
Yes. So like basically there was Pain of Salvation. If you're not factoring in the guitar changes, it's really Mark 1.
Right, because Mag Dick, when he left, you didn't really notice.
Yeah. And so it's like Mark 1 is I guess through like
No, Mag Dick only played on the first album.
No, I'm saying, but if I don't make Mark 2 like just because Mag Dick left, like like you said, nobody noticed, so it's still Mark 1 really.
Sure.
So Mark 1 up through like at least B or Scarsick, because then his brother left, and then everybody else left. I mean, it doesn't like it. Basically, the only album you really notice is the Road Salts, because,
which I didn't listen to.
Which honestly,
Scarsick
like,
was so bad.
Between the writing and the style of the albums and the actual credits, because I noticed in the credits there's like certain songs where you're just like, Daniel did everything, and and also certain people either left in between those albums or like once they both came out, so it was like everyone kind of dropped off. It was like basically those should have been like solo albums. Also, they were like the weakest concept they've ever done, because it was all like, it's kind of like, The Perfect Element and Remedy Lane, but different but similar, but I don't know, same thing, whatever.
Right.
It was all
like
kind of
very
like
out of
similar
ideas.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad, but it was like kind of similar themes.
No, but you're right. Those absolutely should have been solo albums. It would have gone a lot way to not damaging their brand.
Exactly. And they practically were, if you look at the actual personnel and everything. And so it really, and it also, then after that, there was the whole, his illness thing. And so after that, it was like Ragnar coming in was a big part of like reigniting the band. And, there's this little like documentary series that somebody, I don't know who, did on them, and I watched like the first half of it, but it's weird because the first half of it just shows the band like being a mess. Like it shows
Wait, so they were going like for the Metallica thing?
I was like, right, but at least like they're super famous, so like how is this helping is what I'm asking, because like
they're tortured artists.
There's a second half, and I assume the second half is like because Ragnar isn't in the band in the first half, and the second half I assume is Ragnar coming in and being like, ta-da, but like now it would be weird to release that because it'd be like, wasn't that cool? Anyway, that guy's gone. Like so
things are looking up for that future when he leaves.
So the first half is mostly the previous bass player joining and then leaving, because he joined during Road Salt and he was like, is this like Beatles kind of stuff? What are we doing? And he was like, and then Daniel's like, hey man, if you don't like the Beatles, and it's like, you're missing the point. Like that's not the point. Like it's pretty obvious that this is not the same as like the early. Anyway, so it's that dude leaving, and then it kind of ends like, now what? Like I think Johan also like quit and rejoined during that, but then like he's still gonna quit again because we know what happens because we're in the future and this is in the past, and they still haven't released the second half of it. So anyway, so from that I could see some of the workings of like how it's kind of a mess, and like and which some of ties into Ragnar's message about when he left. So fast forward, the other part is that like the tour seemed to go so well, and the release of the album. There were
a lot of people at their shows.
The response to the album was very extremely, almost too positive, because it was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but like, come on, like everybody, like Prague,
everyone is so thirsty at this point,
right, exactly,
and
desperate for Prague.
And also, again, they did a lot of smart moves. They made a high quality video for the best song on the album. Like I just found this thing, and I assume it wasn't just like some random fan thing, because it's on the Inside Out YouTube channel. There's like a CGI video for Undertow, and it's awful.
I don't know if I've seen that.
So okay, the
like the wireframe kind of.
Yeah, the wireframe people. So it's the two naked wireframe people like in a prison cell or something, and it's a bunch of like. It's literally like someone made these models in Maya or Blender or whatever, and then was like, "Cool, spin it around." That's a video. I'm like,
what you're saying is Daniel probably made it. He's like, maybe
well,
I'll get the 3D model.
It looks like someone's like 3D modeling class like project.
Right.
But it's on it, so maybe it was, and Inside Out saw it and was like, we'll use that because the bar for prog metal is very low.
Right.
So whatever. But anyway, so my point was, yeah, they did a really good job around this album, around the tour and everything.
Yeah. The response was, like, I saw a lot of reviews that were, for people who want to, the right audience.
And think about who their tour support was.
Oh yeah,
Mike Portnoy's kids band.
That's right. Did they actually play? Did he play on the whole tour?
Oh, I don't know.
I think he did, because
my guess is they did, because it was the show we were at.
And
you made the really good point of who would have a great drum kit to share on tour.
Right. Oh yeah. So they did. But I mentioned that because like. They also do this thing where they just hop on New York dates of prog tours, like we're going to be seeing Eden Song and Imminent Sonic Destruction because they're playing at the venue that we have to go to if anybody plays there. And Next to None is like added on as like the opener. I was like, can I go to a show and not see Next to None? That's what's
their name is a description of the amount of shows they aren't on.
Right. How many prog shows are they not on Next to None? Right. So okay. So here's the thing. There's this really good tour, really good album release, and their like Ragnar's post about it, seems to follow that like they were doing pretty well. Here, I'll just find the post and read it because and then I'll read Daniel's post.
Zolberg.
And then I'll speculate wildly.
Right. Then we'll get into the music wars section of the show.
I gotta get past all the. Oh yeah, here's one of the. They post some of the
other
original
glam rock things.
Songs. So that's the other thing. While I'm looking for this, he has this whole like like one of those dudes. He looks like one of those dudes who thinks Guns N' Roses is the best band of all time, and
like he lives in L.A. I mean, it's like that's what it looks like.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
These you go to LA and there are all these dudes who are like, glam rock's still a thing, and you're like,
yeah, like
I guess.
I guess in LA,
if you want to play bar shows forever,
right? Okay, I think I almost got it. So many, because everyone had to post on his wall and be like, "Hey man, I know you're gonna do great."
If only these things were easier to search. That's my main gripe about like Facebook.
Yeah,
searching for stuff.
I should have like
queued it up,
like copy pasted.
Should have gotten some ammo for your music war.
Yeah, I forgot. See, I'm totally prepared for Fyre Festival, but this thing, I've definitely gone past it now. All right, yeah, Facebook sucks. All right. Anyway,
can't just search for it.
Let me try.
Think of what the most obnoxious word he used in that post.
Man, I don't know. It was pretty recently.
Yeah, but the thing hides stuff. And
here, let me just
around. I'd say you could edit this out, but we're live. It's live. It's live. Live internet, people.
Let's see if these guys have links to the appropriate stuff. Oh man, balls. Okay, I remember what he said, so let me just paraphrase the information, because whatever. We're live. So basically, though, he said. So during the period, you remember how I said that the first New York Pain of Salvation show I went to since they like swore off the U.S. and all that weird stuff.
Oh yeah, should we recap that story?
Yeah, well, this is important. It's relevant. So I've seen them like I guess 3 or 4 times since then. Or including that one, and it's really that's why it was such a big deal. This show was so much better, and it was really put together, and even though they played a lot of new stuff, it was good. And so compared to flashback to this previous show, this tour, they had one guitar player. A few songs had 2 guitars because the merch guy jumped in, but they were all like
I did not see that.
They were one finger like drop tuning stuff. Like you never did anything that wasn't like a single finger bar thing. And they were doing a bunch of really weird acoustic covers. which
Yeah, I
led to that
totally
acoustic
missed
cover.
this tour.
Right. And reasonably, it was also like, this is also the first show that they were in, that I saw them in the Marlin Room. And I was like, why are they in this room? Because it was such a tiny crowd. And I was like, there's a smaller room that usually is where when I see a band, that's where they are because nobody's heard of them. But they're like in this bigger room. It's nice, but it's weird when there's like not that many
No one
people.
there,
And you're like,
yeah.
this room's so huge. And it seemed that way until the last show. This is the first show where I was like, maybe it's appropriate that they're in this room.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But there was acoustic. So Ragnar posted, it turned out he had quit. He had already joined the band. They claimed that he was like unavailable because of like family reasons or something. I thought like he had just had a kid or something. But it turns out from his recent post, he had quit. And I guess it was partially because he was like, it wasn't what I signed up for, the way the band is run. And
Very Ghost-esque.
yeah, and well, yeah, and
You faceless ghouls. Get in line.
right. This is the pain of salvation:
Papa.
is that you have to suffer through being in this band with me.
Papa Daniel and the nameless ghosts.
And the nameless
Nameless ghouls.
schools. Okay, so
Ghouls.
he so what was it? Okay, so he posted that, right, he had quit and then rejoined, and it sounds like maybe it was that he realized it's a band where Daniel's like, so I write everything and that's it, fuck you. And then he quit, and then like it makes sense that when he rejoined is when they like bromanced out and were like, you can write this album with me, bro. Like bros for, and my guess is because he is a Sebastian Bach, Guns N' Roses type dude who also like, even on stage, he wears his guitar super low, even when it clearly is affecting his ability to play certain things, because he's just rock
You
and
gotta
roll.
look cool, man.
Just rock and roll life.
You gotta look cool.
And so my thought is like, okay, so to again try to look at both sides of it, because there's kind of like potential negative on both sides, which also seems to be the most realistic picture to me. There's a possibility.
Whoa. This music war is not about fair and balanced.
Sorry, you're right.
man.
I mean, let me
you
speculate
need to crank
wildly.
it up.
So we know that like Pain of Salvation, especially the previous, like the peak lineup was tight as fuck live too. Like they were so fucking tight.
Yeah.
And even though Mark II, the recent show, was good, one of the specific moments that I noticed that made me go, oh yeah, they're not quite 100% like the old lineup was during Rope Ends, when there's all those like progressively more complicated drum fills, like and then each time it adds like like that.
Yeah.
And he just like didn't do
Do 'em,
them, and I was
yeah.
like, where's the coolest part of this
Yeah,
this song?
I didn't notice that at the time, but now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah, I weirdly, like, I think I was specifically, for some reason, I was like listening for it, and then I was like,
Probably because it sounded super straight when they played the intro too.
yeah. Yeah, so my, part of my theory is that, because other people in the past have said stuff about how Daniel maybe runs the band, but at the same time, there are certain cases where like somebody should be helming it because they are writing most of the stuff. They know what they want out of it. Like a lot of people, like I've heard a lot of stuff about like people say Steve Vai's difficult, but from what I've heard, it just sounds like he just knows what he wants, and then he tells you to do it. And like 30% of musicians just don't get that. They're just like, hey man, I gotta be me. And you're like, no, you gotta play what I hired you to play.
Right,
And then he's
this
like,
is a job.
but
I understand that as a musician, you've never
But I
like,
gotta
had a
rock.
job before.
Right, exactly.
But this
Exactly.
is how it works in the grown-up world where we make money.
Yeah, so that's part of my theory, is that maybe Ragnar's, and that would also explain if he joined the band and he was like, I thought this was a band where like,
He was like, I don't need no instructions to know
Right.
how to rock.
right, exactly. And so maybe they compromised, and the compromise was partially like, which also would make sense, where it's like, well, it makes sense that all the stuff fits the sort of complexity level of Ragnar's songs, right? There's that one really cool riff at the beginning of the album where I'm like, Pain of Salvation is back, and then no other riff is as cool as it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they're kind of back. So that would fit with my theory that maybe he partially was just like, he didn't like the intensity of like, okay, like, can you play this with all of these notes and everything? And he's like, bam, 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 and it's like, not exactly. Because like one of his things was he said that like he didn't. His list of like reasons, ways he was mistreated. One of them was like every show it was like criticism, and it's like, was it criticism or was it feedback from the guy who's banned it? Because like,
Who wrote this song?
Because you know.
So yeah, so I have no info on this whatsoever. So this is
Wildly speculate.
This is pure music war coming out of my mouth right now. Hot fire, hot takes. I mean, so I wouldn't be surprised if part of the thing was, he wanted to work on his other bands and stuff, right? And Junior's like, you gotta dedicate to this band, right? And so he's like, all right, I'm out. And then Daniel was just like, all right, you can come back. But instead of doing those other bands, you could just do that stuff in this band, right? Anything that passes the Daniel, bar of whatever, like,
Yeah.
Seems...
Well, and okay, so then, and the next layer to it is there was like financial stuff too. Is he said that?
Ooh, imagine that a metal band didn't have any money.
Right. So, Ragnar's take was I think he said he was paid like 1,000 euros as just like a flat fee for like the recording of the album or something. He said basically that was basically what he was paid at some point. It was just
hilarious.
At one point he was like, the only thing I was paid was 1,000 euros. And he claimed that the album was selling reasonably well, and that the band was doing better financially since their recent tour, but he still wasn't kind of getting any kind of compensation. But more so, what confused me was that it sounded like he said he wasn't given credit on the album.
Well, that's the thing. If he got paid for the recording, then it very well could have been drawn up as work for hire.
Right. And so basically he may have...
So just a quick point for people who don't know. So in authorship scenarios, if something's a work for hire, so if I pay you to write me a song, I'm the legal owner of the song. Right. I wrote the song. As far as the law is concerned, I wrote the song. So that may seem absurd to people, but I just need to make that very clear. I won't get into some other stories I have about that, but just know that, like, imagine the worst implications of that, and they're true.
Yeah. So that's
music war.
That would make sense. That actually would make sense. And on top of that, but what's weird about that too is like, right. So the question is like, did he have him sign something where he basically swindled him? Because on top of that, some of the songs were already written.
If you sign something, if you can read and have had the opportunity to consult a lawyer, you are not being swindled.
Right. I know. I mean, like, I don't mean in the eyes of the law. I just mean in like terms of it's a musician and musicians are known for signing shit they shouldn't.
He really needed that $1,000 so that he could consult a lawyer.
Well, clearly he didn't know that.
Euros.
If that's what that was, he clearly doesn't know it. It doesn't mean that he didn't sign something attesting that he did know it. But the point is, he does. If that was the case, he wasn't like, I was paid this, but then and he wasn't clear that he didn't get it. It was implied he didn't get credit, but it wasn't 100% clear because again, he even posted when the album was coming out, like, here's the original version of this song I wrote that's on this album. And I was like, that's cool. This is clearly the same song. Like, because I listened to it, be like, what did you change? And it was like, not much, but enough. And I'm like, well, so what? So my view of that was like, Daniel's like, weaseling his credit in on this one, but he's still gonna get credit because he talked all over the place publicly about how he wrote it with him. And then so I was like, how can he not give him credit if he's constantly talking about giving him credit?
If he paid for it.
You're right. If he paid for it, is exactly how. And so that's interesting because again, there's a history of like, how is this dude running his band? Because we know that he's like the primary creative force, but
I think there's a few. So I mean, the name of the band, right? Pain of Salvation.
Right.
I've always said, dude has a messiah complex.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have said that as well.
And I mean, it's like you just look at the name,
right?
and so. I would not
also,
be surprised.
if you listen to Forward.
or like any of their other songs.
Right, yeah. But anyway, so...
All
but so that's why... This is why I was...
Not credits, words.
Right. So this is why I was... So the funny thing is, when I saw this post from Ragnar, I really thought he was quitting, but then he was like, and then I was fired. And we were like, what the what? And... I mean, because he was talking about like, yeah, you know, I can't really afford it. You know, it's not really making me any money, whatever. Even though the band's doing better, I'm not seeing any of it. And I'm like, oh, he's quitting. And then it's like, and then yesterday I got fired. Like what? And then Daniel post. Oh yeah, so let me see. I can probably find Daniel's post because he doesn't post as much.
He doesn't have as many glam rock pictures.
He doesn't have as many people being like, I know that you're not famous enough to like not appreciate this. So it was really cool meeting you. You're the coolest person in the world. I'm totally just gonna scroll through and not find it either. Nice. I'm guessing.
It's gonna be a regular segment of Music Wars.
Let's try to find this shit.
Try to find the corroborating.
No, I just need to make. I'll make a Music Wars bumper so that anytime we're about to wildly speculate, we can signify.
It'll be like
that you know this part shouldn't be taken.
Music Wars. Wars.
Okay, that's the end of the tour, so it's got to be more recently than that.
But it doesn't organize things chronologically.
You're right. Oh, I fucking hate you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can't search,
you can't search, and it's not in chronological order. Okay. Anyway, so Daniel's side of it, it sounded like there was some implication on his end. He was more vague. He was less clear about it, but it was. He did not address like how it seemed to me that it was weird that he was like, thanks for the bromance or whatever, but like, thanks for like resurrecting my band. Now the old guy's back, so beat it. Because like the positive is that guitar player Johan is back, and he was always a very good guitar player. And he could play all the stuff. And that was the other thing is I had speculated about Ragnar's playing not just because of the new album, but because of the old stuff they chose to play, right? It just seemed like they were missing any of the really technical stuff. And
right. I mean, again, this band never really had like pyrotechnics.
Right. I mean, in terms of like, it's mostly like rhythmically, right. It's more like rhythmically technical. It's not like super like shreddy or anything, but more like, usually more like a rhythmic kind of thing, like, you know, count this part kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but they still like, again, even the rope ends part, like if you play it really simply, it's not that complicated, but if you add all the accents, which is the whole point of the part, is that it's this simple, like, upbeats, right? Like not that complicated, but then the drums are like really complicated.
Really fast reggae.
Right. And so that's clearly one of those things where like, again, so like, obviously, you know, Daniel's idea for this part, he probably wrote what he wanted those drum fills to kind of be like in terms of the rhythm. And so, it, you know, again, it's like, this is what I want. Can you do this? And the old guy was like, brah, brah, brah. And the new guy's like, ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. And it's like, man, I guess. Because, like, you know, there's not a million people beating down the door to join Pain and Salvation because they've never been, I'm sure, seen as very profitable, at least not.
And it's not a gig you do for the exposure.
Right. So it's like
it's not a launching pad.
This is really the problem with Mark II, because like everyone left, and for reasonable, like completely valid reasons, and it was just like a landslide of kind of bad things happening at the same time. And so it's really.
Do they have a song called Landslide? Because I feel like
no.
That would be great, and then you could compare it to, you know, Stevie Nicks.
But so the point is, you know, like it's almost surprising that they're still a band, you know. I'm
gonna Music Wars it right now and speculate that the next Pain and Salvation album will have a song called Landslide, if the album itself is not titled Landslide. I'd be willing to.
You think it's gonna be about the rebirth of Pain and Salvation?
It's gonna be about well, no, because everything is about like a traumatic experience from the past, right? So it's going to be about everyone leaving the band.
The traumatic experience of everyone leaving. Well, the thing is, he already wrote a song on the new one about like having a new band up lineup, basically.
That's okay. He needs to. He doesn't have any new ideas, so he's just going to expand that theme out to an hour to 72 minutes.
This is the thing, like you're saying, like so. You know, Scars. Okay, so all of Pain and Salvation falling off. One of the in addition to all the people leaving, bad decisions in terms of like exposure in the US, and the label falling apart. So like all this shit happened, but on top of that, the like because they set an unfortunate precedent for themselves, which is one of the reasons they're a great band, but also like it was a ticking time bomb from the beginning. Is that every album was a concept album, and they were good, like consistently good for at least 4 of them, and so it was just like that had to fall off at some point. And so Scarsick was like the disappointing Perfect Element Part 2, because it should just, I mean, it was just like so
it wasn't in any way related to the first one, right? Because I mean, here's the deal. It fell off, in my opinion, with Voicemails to God, right? Like, that's a pretty terrible concept.
Right. Well, the problem with that one is the concept, they went too big. It was like, it's so big, it doesn't fit on the album. Then the album's not going to be as good as you think.
Right. Then maybe don't make an album about it. Maybe you need a different medium.
Right. It was literally, it was pretentious. It was literally, see, my problem with people calling stuff pretentious is usually like, when you're talking about, it's like, okay, but did they do the thing they said they were going to do, right? Because if they did, then it's not actually pretentious, right? Pretentious means that you're like pretending to a higher standard than it actually is. And so it was always my bullshit, like, you know, people are like, oh, this, like Queensryche or Rush, whatever, really pretentious. I'm like, actually, because they pulled off exactly what they're trying, technically it's not pretentious. It's like, that's really pretentious.
You're like, but that word doesn't mean what you think it means.
Right, exactly. Well, that's exactly. It's like,
okay, asshole, what word should I be using?
Right. But it is fitting when bands are too like full of shit and they're like, this is so fancy, and you're like, doesn't hold up, you know, like Beyonce's Lemonade is pretentious. And anyway, so my point being, B was like super pretentious.
Yeah,
like,
Voicemails to God. That was terrible.
The list of like books you read to make this album with, like, you know, like Carl Sagan and stuff. And like, I read all these science books because there's so much science in this album.
Good way to be a science man now.
Right.
And then Scarsick was like, I mean, the first one was it was pretty clear. It's about being broken from developmental abuse, both like familial and like sexually, right? And then Scarsick, right, which the name has that same sort of connotation. Yeah. But then it was basically like a big "fuck you, America."
Right. It was trying to be.
That's not the thing.
I think it was trying to be kind of it was trying to be like a opposite that doesn't exist to the first one. Like the first one's focusing on how society is affecting people. I think the second one's supposed to be focusing more on society and like looking at, but the problem is, his whole idea of society is that rap sucks, and America sucks,
and you can make that argument. Like you could argue that the internet trends towards monoculture. Like I won't agree with that argument, but you could make it. But he didn't even do that. Right. If that was his argument, exactly. He didn't do a good job.
It's not.
It was just F you, America.
Right. And so it ended up like feeling less, especially
contrived. And also, if the disco song was supposed to be like ironic or like a fever dream or something, that didn't come across.
No,
it was like a bad song.
Yeah, no, it was totally trying to. It was I mean, they're Swedish, so it's like the ABBA in their DNA that forced them, I think, to do that.
Yeah, but ABBA's like a billion times better than that.
Yeah, but the point is trying to do disco metal, but without any real like proper sense of humor about it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If it was supposed to be ironic, I missed that.
Right. So the point, anyway, my point is though, is compared to the Perfect Element Part 1, it's like, it's less of a well-developed concept, but it's also so different from what all the previous implications of what Part 2 would have been. Remember, he said all this shit about like what a big deal it was. It was going to be all like string sections and shit, and then it was totally the opposite of that.
B was all the string sections and shit.
And so he was gonna, the whole thing, it seemed like he wanted to do B as like a lead up, but then he just like gave up on Perfect Element 2 being like that. And so the fact that he just released it and he was like, guess what? The secret is it's Part 2. It's like, well, nobody thought this was Part 2, and then the fact that you told them, that's just disappointing. Right. You're just disappointing everybody.
And it's one of those deals where things are usually better if you don't have to point them out to people. Right. So if you had to explain that it's Part 2, it's probably not an effective Part 2.
And exactly. And it was not super clear, and on top of that, it just it didn't fit any of the expectations he had set up for it. And so even if you liked it, you couldn't really be like, fuck yeah. But like, no, but even people who liked it weren't like, finally
Right.
part two.
Nobody
like
was willing to
was
defend that.
right.
It was sort of it was like at best a guilty pleasure.
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel like.
So anyway, my point is, and then after that, as we talked about, Road Salt is like totally
Yeah,
like
I didn't even see. Now this, I could get into some serious music lore because I haven't even listened to the albums.
Right.
I saw the video for Linoleum and I was like, this is garbage.
Anyway, this whole tangent, actually, my point was going to be that when I heard about Daniel's illness, I was
don't
like,
even know about this.
oh, so he got necrotizing fasciitis, which is like the flesh-eating bacteria kills
I do remember hearing about
dude
this.
from Slayer on his back, and so he's in the hospital.
Jeff Hanneman.
Yeah, and so he's in the hospital for several months. That's what the new album is about, basically his brush with death. And so I was like, if there's anything that's a good topic for him to write an album about, it's this. So this was like the terrible news of his illness was like my light at the, like a beacon of hope for the band. I was like, this could be, that's a good album topic, bro. You should write an album about that. Like that's pretty good. Like so and that's also why when it came out I was kind of like, it's good and it's probably
the best
we're gonna get. Yeah. Although I don't know, maybe if the entire band, if they could do well enough that the entire band like decides it's financially beneficial to rejoin.
If there's a financial reward that's like, hey, maybe we should put some effort into this.
And that might be why Johan rejoined, because they got over that, like they clearly made up a decent amount of what they lost before.
And here's the other thing, like you said, there were a bunch of people at that show. If maybe this is causing their back catalog to sell, those guys had points on that stuff. They might be like, "Oh man, we really need this stuff to sell." Like, who knows? Because as much shit as we're talking right now, those first 4 albums are literally 4 of the best albums ever by anyone.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
The only album that I think is a better rock album than Remedy Lane is Mars Volta, Deloused, and the Comatorni. Like Remedy Lane is probably number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Really into Deloused.
Deloused is amazing, and it's another one of those deals where it's like after that, like Francis the Mute is not.
Oh yeah, well I
good.
didn't even get into Deloused, but I heard it because my roommate was really into it, and then everything after that I was like, why would I bother? Because it was noticeably
I almost said Octavarium. Why am I blanking on this? The album that Mars Volta has that starts with an octahedron. Sorry, octahedron is very good.
Okay,
it's part of what makes Deloused so good is the energy.
Yeah, if anything, I would just start listening to Deloused and then and just do that first if I was going to suddenly.
But Octavarium is like it's like, imagine if they were a much chiller band. Yeah. But still amazing. Yeah, but like Francis the Mute was garbage.
Oh yeah.
Because they were basically trying to like keep it going, and you're like, no, it's over. It's done. Like leave it be. So yeah, but anyway, Deloused is amazing, and Remedy Lane is probably number 2.
Yeah. So anyway, so my whole thing is that it in a weird way it kind of makes sense that my guess, like honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if Ragnar would have quit if he hadn't been fired. It's a very familiar scenario for me. But because again, he was like, I'm not, I can't live off this or whatever. And even though the band's doing better, but I don't seem to be doing better. What's up with that? And why haven't I thought about this sooner?
Is he Swedish though, or is he like
he's
Icelandic or something?
Yeah.
So does he get the same kind of stipend that the Swedish guys get?
I don't know. I don't know if Iceland has the same kind of thing.
We should ask him.
Yeah.
No, Music Wars needs to know.
We need to know
what's going on.
What is the deal? Did Daniel try to get you to do any satanic sacrifices of any kind?
What? Do you listen to a lot of Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway, so it's interesting because it seems to like it's interesting because it's a lot of what Ragnar said fits with what I've heard and seen about the way the band is run or isn't run. And yet at the same time, it could be he might not have been able to pull off the full technical side of things,
Dude,
and couldn't take criticism
my
about it.
guitar that low, I couldn't either.
Right, it's exactly
like, it's just not possible. Like,
yeah.
And on a semi-hollow body.
Yeah,
like,
and
it's just not.
Yeah, and if Daniel's talking to Johan again, and suddenly he wanted to come back, I could totally see him being like, yeah, thanks, buddy, but Johan's coming back, so that's cool. But again, so Johan's coming back, so at least on the guitar they can play everything now.
Let's see if his brother comes back.
Yeah, that's probably the least likely because he lives in another country now.
Oh yeah, like Denmark or something.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that covers Pain and Salvation. And although be interesting to hear, so I'm curious what the next album will be about because you gotta come up with a good.
I hope
concept.
Landslide. It's about everyone leaving the band.
Very possible. All right, so Fyre Festival. Let's see, how long do we talk about Pain and Salvation already?
A long time.
Yeah, totally. All right, whatever. No edits. So if you haven't heard about Fyre Festival, it was a festival. Ja Rule
of Fyre.
It wasn't like Ja Rule was like the celebrity.
It was a festival in which everyone got fired.
Yes. Oh no, but they did it. That's actually a key part.
We'll come to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
So
it's foreshadowing, Matt.
Right. So basically,
music wars in this.
I can play the little. I don't think I'll get flagged if I play their what you call it.
Their promo video.
Yeah, their
stock footage.
Their stock footage. Yes. Let me just. Okay, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I got to do it on the iPad. That's why. All right. Let me talk instead. So they it was supposed to be the super premium, like celebrities, and it was promoted as.
You gotta kind of set this up.
Yeah.
So that there's been a trend over time in the U.S. in particular, marked mainly by Coachella, that music festivals, like the music business, which is a business whose product happens to be music, there were festivals that happened to have music at them.
Yeah, right. That's a good way of describing it.
No,
yes.
I think it is
exactly
entirely explains the situation. And so, there's like all kinds of BS articles around, and I wish, like, I'm not even tapped in enough to this to be able to cite like what types of sites write this crap. But I would see articles about like, women in their 30s and 40s that like they have this whole prep for Coachella, like they go get plastic surgery just to go to Coachella or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Chella. Like
right.
it was one of these things where they call out all this dumb stuff and you're just like, okay, this is absurd. So there was this whole entire ecosystem around the thing, and then it was like, oh yeah, and some bands like that you've heard of are gonna play.
Right. And it's all and they it's like all people who like tour everywhere anyway, like they're just the biggest people, and it's like, do you want to see them with a bigger crowd around you for some reason than the place you normally would see them? Come to Coachella. Like, and you can like also see somebody else big at the same time, except you can't because they're at the same time,
right? And
you can't get anywhere because there's too many people. So like you said, like, so super shitty festivals, and so basically,
right. And so they're being sold as experiences,
right? So sold as experience, like it's all about the image, and people also just go to them just to say, I went to Coachella, bro.
Right. And so like that. And so then there's a New York parallel to this, right? Where there's so if you go to a club in New York, right? Like there's a pretty well-defined set of things that you may do there. Like you will probably purchase drinks. You will probably interact with strangers.
Yeah.
Like that's about it, right? But there are clubs where you can pay much more money to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And it's ostensibly the same thing, but the deal is there's two reasons to do this. One, obviously on the club's part, if you can sucker people into giving you money, great. But two, if you're like a celebrity or someone who otherwise like when they go out into public, like there's a situation. So like someone who may not necessarily be like a celebrity, but like a hedge fund manager, right? Where it's like if people know who he is, you might get bugged about like money crap or whatever. And it's like, so you want to go somewhere where like only other people who have so much money to waste that they don't care about like that you're Alex Rodriguez or whatever. Like you can do that, right? So then it becomes a status symbol for people who aren't those people to be like, bro, I wasted all this money and went to that fucking club you heard of. How was it? I did the same shit I did at every other club. And you're like, awesome. Did you interact with any famous people? No, because they could tell that I recognized that they were famous and they didn't know who I was. And they were like, keep me the fuck away from that guy. And they're like, all right.
I saw him from like across like 50 people.
Right. So this is, again, it's the same sort of thing where it's like the exclusive festival.
Yeah. So, the main thing is they, part of the concept was they were going to go to like, uncharted paradises.
International waters?
Pretty much. And turn them into like, these amazing like resorts basically. But like basically,
pop-up resort festival.
Pop-up resort. So they're gonna build. So it's already the most expensive idea, and then they basically wasted all the money on like I mean, not entirely bad promotion ideas, but at least spending too much on them.
No, it got the word out.
Right, because they at least get the social media idea.
The promo clearly worked.
They pretty much spent.
But the reason they spent too much was because they didn't budget actually having the festival.
Right. And let's see. I'll skip to. I have this one. This is my favorite article, which is a Vice article, which also has the most important quote. So there was an article. The first article I read was somebody who worked on the festival, and they reported how it was basically doomed from the start. All the BS about the organization.
Is this the one about the dude who's like, and I quit? When okay.
Yeah, and so the quote from that article that went around is the headline on this Vice article, the 1 in 10, because I've decided Vice has like a 1 to 10, like good article and then just garbage, and then good article and like 90% garbage.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
So the quote was when on a conference call, somebody was literally told, like, we don't have the budget for this.
They were like, here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to scrap the festival. We need to start planning right now for next year.
Refund everyone, start promoting for next year because there's no way it can happen. And the response was, let's just do it and be legends, man. That is the actual quote. Let's just do it and be legends, man. And that perfectly sums it up.
Right. The cluelessness of these people.
What's funny is the subtitle is Fyre Festival organizers blew all their money early on models, planes, and yachts.
Yachts.
And if they had just had the festival on yachts, probably would have solved all the problems. Or like turned into a cruise festival and be like, it's on a boat now.
It would have been very difficult, I think, to power the back line.
You're right. It would actually work for yachts. It would be literally like
but it would have been amazing.
It would have been cruise ship.
You know that thing that happens every but you know that thing that happens every spring in Chicago where everyone takes their boat. It's like a gigantic boat party, but it's just a bunch of individual boats.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And so you could like have a festival like that.
Yeah.
The only problem is, again, powering the back line on whatever yacht is the stage yacht. But I mean, the other thing is I could see a lot of accidents occurring when people trying to get their boats closer to the stage.
Yeah.
But like in premise,
Yacht Fest.
In premise, it'd be more fun.
We'll develop Yacht Fest.
Okay.
The premier yacht rock for yacht owners. Okay, so all right. So this is the best part about the Instagram promotion.
So when they were talking about wasting the budget on promo, most of it was they paid people on Instagram who had a bunch of followers, right? Who they identified as influencers to post about like, oh man, this festival's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
so be there.
McFarlane. Okay. If Fyre Festival seemed like a last seemed last minute. That's because it was. McFarland thought of the idea in October 2016 and announced the festival on Instagram a month later, spending millions on models, private jets, and yachts to promote what would be his first ever large-scale event, sources familiar with the planning said. He spent $250,000 on a single Instagram post from Kim Kardashian's half-sister Kendall Jenner and laid out hundreds of thousands more on lesser-name influencers, none of whom were paid less than $20,000, one person familiar with the payment said. Now, the best part about this, though, is only one model, Gone Girl actress Emily Ratajkowski, labeled her promotion as an ad as required by the Federal Trade Commission. The other models' omissions are now the subject of a class action lawsuit. So the FTC noticed that, like, which I didn't know about this. I didn't know that this was like specifically.
Oh, yeah, well, so there's actually a bunch of history around this. So, right, you're obligated to point out when you are paid to make statements about a product. Okay, and this has largely gone just unenforced on the modern internet because, again, like, regulatory bodies have limited budgets and time, and so they're only going to target things where someone has complained, like, I've been harmed by this,
or a significant amount of money is involved,
right. Or well, so the one high profile case of this that I'm aware of previously crossed into an additional regulatory issue, which was it was a Kim Kardashian ad for, I can't remember what it was now, but it was like a health product, so it was also under the purview of the FDA, right? Because they're basically like, you can't advertise. Oh, like,
was it the Gwyneth Paltrow thing?
I don't know. It was some like medical.
Because
I feel like it was some baby or pregnancy thing or something.
There was. Okay, I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Google would tell me rather quickly.
Okay, apparently there's multiple things about Gwyneth Paltrow's misleading health tips and doctors speaking out about the dubious claims. But anyway, yeah.
So it turns out there was a separate lawsuit against the Kardashians for actually just the garden variety stuff. They had found over 100 Instagram posts that were paid product placements without being marked as advertising.
Of course.
They said the Kardashians, this is an old article, but they go, the Kardashians now have a week to take those posts down, or Truth in Advertising will notify the Federal Trade Commission, which in turn could open an official investigation. Again, the operative word could,
right?
Because again, it's one of those deals where it's like, people, you have to, have discretion about where you put forth your efforts, but also, people, well, people want to make names and careers out of them.
Right. Plus, if the agency is likely to make enough money off fines, then it's worth pursuing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it might be, so in a case like this where there was so much money paid to so many people, they were probably like,
right.
Oh,
this one, there is, so the issue with a lot of lawsuits, right, especially things where you talk about like theft of trade secrets and stuff, you usually have to show what's called material adverse impact, right? So again, I'm not a lawyer. This does not constitute legal advice.
Right.
But you have to show that someone actually harmed from it, right? And so it would be very difficult for, if Kim Kardashian has an ad that says like, eat Wheaties, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be difficult to show that anyone was harmed by not knowing that was an ad.
Right.
But this, all these people are like, this thing's going to be awesome. And I totally am not just saying that because I know something about it, but because someone paid me to say it and I'm taking their word for it. And then you bought tickets and plane tickets and then almost died at the thing.
So, yeah, we should talk.
Very easy to show.
We didn't talk about that yet. So the payoff is that I think they the part of it was that they were really expensive tickets and various packages.
We need to come full circle on the point earlier was that they soldiered forward despite the irrational people being like, hey, this is like, like no, and
Yeah.
then being like, nope, we're gonna do it, and even though you take the statement on its face value and you realize it's absurd, apparently not enough people had that realization,
Yeah.
and so they went ahead and tried to do this anyway, and they failed miserably. And if you read any of the accounts, there's hilarious escalations of like they get closer and closer, and these things like people are like, there's no backline, there's no accommodations, there's no catering.
Yeah, so like,
and the bands didn't get paid. And the bands are the best because they're the professionals in this.
Right.
You know, my favorite part in Fear of a Black Hat, we got to talk about what happened out there tonight. No, we need to talk about what didn't happen. And what didn't happen is we didn't get paid, right? and that's the thing is all these bands were like, when are we getting paid? Because you don't get paid after the gig. Like at the very least, you get like the advance,
Right.
which covers your expenses.
and a bunch of them just pulled out.
Right, and that was the thing. They're like, a bunch of them pulled out, and then the other ones who were at least willing to like give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, eventually it was like, yeah, you're not gonna get paid, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not coming.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like Blink 182. Like there were
Yeah, it
bands
was
people
big
had heard
bands.
of.
Yeah.
It wasn't Pain of Salvation. It wasn't bands you've never heard of. It was bands that played on the radio and MTV. Like you know these bands.
Yeah.
They're mostly nostalgia acts, I think. But
Yeah. Although, man, when you hear people talk about Blink 182 now, they're like,
I don't, thankfully.
I think of them as like the worst Green Day, but
I don't. Can you name a Blink 182 song? I don't.
well, I can name the first, like "What's My Age Again" or whatever. That
Oh, okay,
one.
that was
like
them?
the
Okay.
first one, I think.
Sure.
But I don't. Yeah, I don't remember the. And then when they. I remember the super whiny one, like "Voice Inside My Head."
Is that the band?
That one?
Is Travis Barker the drummer?
Yes.
Okay. See, and that's so funny because if I don't probably maybe people listen to this
Right.
should know Nick Barker was the big bald drummer from Dimmu Borgir.
Oh, okay.
So, like,
Well, and the
no relation.
The other thing is that one of there's three guys in the band, and Tom DeLonge, the other main
he had
one,
that
he
crappy foam green Fender sig.
and he left the band because he's trying to get all the alien info out because
was he on Infowars?
I don't know if he's been on Infowars.
Does he want to be on Music Wars?
We could do an episode about it anyway. I know, like,
can we get him on
dirt.
here? Be like,
Oh yeah,
yo,
well,
you
no,
need to get you can reach
no,
our huge audience of 100 listeners.
because he's like, it's one of those things where he's like, you know, we really got to get the word out about the secrecy, about the aliens and the government. And so we're going to do it in this 3-part series of books and accompanying albums and like this whole like, so basically you want to put out a bunch of products
Wait.
to help get the word out. Like
This sounds remarkably like some juggalo marketing tactics.
Yeah.
Which see instead and check it out. Instead of the Joker's cards or whatever the fuck they called them, they could be like the UFOs, like or the discs, right?
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
be like
Well,
the flying the discs.
right.
You gotta
So
get
that's-
each new disc gives you more reveals. Buy
Also,
a crappy pop punk
Here's an excuse to buy a physical music disc.
physical music disc.
Because it's so anyway, so Blink 182 is funny. But again, every time I see somebody bring them up, you hear all this shit about them being one of the biggest rock bands in the world. And you're like, I mean, they're very famous.
Well, but the other thing is like, what? So is Limp Bizkit,
Right.
Like that's and everyone
and again,
agrees
so
that
is
they're
Green
terrible.
Day, and people know. Like again, I think of Blink 182 as like slightly worse Green Day.
Here's the thing, though. So Green Day they've gone like in the cycle of criticism.
Right.
They've now moved into nostalgia act.
Oh, yeah.
So it's no longer cool to just be like Green Day's fucking
right,
terrible.
but it's
right?
It's the same thing
It's
though. You
still
get people.
cool. It's still cool to say that Limp Bizkit's fucking terrible, but I feel like even
Right.
that is coming to an end.
Yeah,
Like 5 years from now,
there's already a lot of people like, you know what? People may say shit about Limp Bizkit, but
but he did it all for the nookie.
right. But like he got the nookie, and so therefore he was successful in his endeavors. Exactly.
You're like, so was Mussolini, technically.
yeah,
Like,
right. But that's the same thing. Like Green
not-
Day and Blink 182 are both considered like, well, they are huge in terms of like financially, huge. But in terms of like music, everyone,
Quality.
most people know they suck balls. All right, so the here's the other thing. Okay, so when the people arrived, so like
Yeah, so some people didn't get the memo and showed up.
right, and as they arrived, like they realized like just before the thing was going to launch that they didn't have accommodations.
Right.
Like
They
because
basically had like those tents,
right, because
like hurricane,
FEMA tents, literally
victims.
FEMA tents. Yeah.
Like,
so it was
if you were on one of those islands when a natural disaster occurred and international organizations
Yes,
showed up to
so-
provide you basic shelter, those were the
right.
But it wasn't just like the other thing is you have to go back to how this was marketed. It
Right.
wasn't like
Okay, so I
there will
was
be
gonna-
places. It was like supposed to be luxury. Do you have the quote? It was supposed to be like they're like VIP luxury accommodations or whatever. It's a FEMA tent. I don't have the quote.
it's probably in the
Just the headline to that makes me laugh.
yeah, which we'll talk about next. Plus, oh yeah, they claim that like because there's somebody leaked audio from one of the like I guess a recent meeting, like after it was already a big news story.
Oh, because they offered some people instead of a refund, you could just roll your thing over to tickets for next year,
Right, which oh man,
which is a thing that is totally happening.
oh yeah.
That live event I alluded to, it's happening.
So
it
I love how
kills
so like
every time.
so Ja Rule was clearly just like the celebrity like who bought the main dude's bullshit, I guess, because it was some other random like dude who's I guess been known for other sketchy stuff.
Because when I think of people capable of doing due diligence, Ja Rule is not on that list.
Right.
Right.
So this is great because we already know it's a disaster, and we already know Ja Rule's name is heavily associated with it. So they mention how he was on this call, but like he basically like this was his only like chime in was I'm on the phone, but I can barely hear you all because of this fucking hum. Like, oh man, guys, the hum's really bad. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to say much, but go ahead.
Yeah,
like,
right. Like that's his excuse.
I don't know if
to,
I'm gonna be able to take any responsibility for this because of the hum. And then
I've been told by my lawyers the hum indemnifies me.
yeah, and then the key part of this call is
No static at all.
so the key part is that they were then like so in addition, so everyone like was expecting to be fired, but instead they were told there would be no payroll in the short term. That's a quote. There will be no payroll in the short term.
Billy McFarland.
And then like basically offered like opportunities to continue employ here, let me see if I can find a good
No,
quote.
I mean, yeah, but it's the classic, like,
Yeah.
well, you're not getting paid, but
Right.
it's a great opportunity.
And rather than, firing
For-
them and then being eligible for unemployment,
Oh, yeah.
that was the other part of it is like, good news, you're not getting unemployment, but you're also not getting paid.
Do you have any record of us working for Fyre?
Yeah,
That
that's
was
another quote from an employee.
Fyre employee.
One employee who had been paid in cash asked if there was any record of her being an employee at all. Payroll in the office abruptly stopped last October, after which time employees were paid by wire transfer or in cash, a former employee said.
Should we be concerned about the FBI?
Ominously, one employee
That's
said
really
she
more
heard...
of an individual thing.
Oh man, yeah. So, okay, I'll put all these articles in the description, like later. But
Good
anyway.
night, Springton. There will be no encore.
So, they said tickets cost between $1,000 and $125,000. Gourmet food and accommodations were promised.
Oh yeah, and you were supposed to have access to like Tech Bros or something. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be like
was-
again like that scenario that I was covering about being in the club where Alex Rodriguez or whoever is there,
Right.
but you don't get
And-
to talk to him.
right, and
But they were
all-
like, you will get to talk to him.
And all the
'Cause
people,
you paid for
all the
it.
people who were promoted to say they were going, to promote it, most of them weren't going.
Weren't going.
And didn't say they were paid to promote it. And so it was like very few celebrities, because most of them probably figured out this was bullshit and bailed, probably because they weren't paid.
Also models, right? That was the
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
There was supposed to be like models there. So was it like a latent like prostitution angle, or was the idea like these hot girls will be there and you paid for time with them? It's like because
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an underlying in most like party promotion, there's an underlying, there's gonna be models, and it's therefore implied that like you're delusional to think that means you'll have sex with one of them, right? And people are like, totally, bro, let's go. There's gonna be models, right? Like that's the premise of that marketing approach.
You know what is totally on topic for this? The O House. The one that had the weird movie advertising it. I sent it to you guys like a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that's all right. Are you looking for the
I'm looking for the
promo video?
The promo video.
Okay,
yeah.
while you find that, I'll talk about the O House. So there was a house, I think it was in Hollywood Hills or something, that was for sale, and these guys made this movie, right? As part of the real estate listing to like showcase the house, whatever. But it's this bizarre video of like all these models like naked wearing like gold leaf paint, and then like a slightly older woman, right? Like sort of the, but good looking, kind of like the class of person that you might imagine owns this place, right? Mm-hmm. And she's wearing a VR headset in bed, like getting off, like. And the whole thing is this weird, like dimly lit, like sultry women stalking around, and then fast cars and all this stuff, and it's just absurd, right? Because it's like when they sell soda, with sexy models, you're like, okay, this is dumb, but it's also gonna like go out to like millions of people, and it's gonna appeal to someone. You're trying to sell a single house. Like, do you think anyone it's one thing if I'm influenced by my purchasing decision of $1 subconsciously to buy soda. Yes. It's another thing if I'm like purchasing a house for millions of dollars to be like, yo, but I saw that movie with the chick getting off on the VR headset. You're like, no, like who is buying the house? Like how? Like it didn't make any sense. The whole thing was like completely absurd, and I'm thankful for. I feel like maybe it was LA Weekly. I can't remember what publication called the whole thing out. But man, this video is something to behold. It is also not safe for work. But it's the same kind of BS. Like who is dumb enough? Like, I mean, I know there are a lot of dumb people, but they're usually not the ones who are about to drop like a ton of money on something.
Yeah.
Because you have to be a special kind of dumb to have money like that and be dumb.
Yes. All right, I got the video queued up. Bam. Audio back on. Okay, so this is the Fyre Festival promo video.
The actual experience exceeds all expectations. It is something that's
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Here we go.
Set up.
This is so good.
big and impossible or not. It gives people that
There's the yachts.
that type of power.
Also, like with the exception of like some of the models,
An immersive music festival.
like
We
I don't
will
know.
immerse you in water.
Other than like there's, because I think there's at least one like famous model in here at some point, but other than that, like most of this is either is stock footage or should be, like
Right.
if they
actually shot
Right.
this, they wasted their money.
exactly, because it looks exactly like stock footage, so it might as well.
Right. All you have to do is take the ad for sandals and put the text and
It
audio
looks
over
like
it.
it looks like a resort ad. Oh, that's the other key thing we gotta talk about.
The music.
Yes, the insane like request for the music.
Yeah.
Oh man, I almost
Well,
forgot
because
about
it's
that.
hilariously simultaneously informed and
Right.
oblivious.
Right. It's like it sounds like you got a composition degree, but you haven't made music since, and you don't actually. You're not good at it.
Well, and you also got it like from community college.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like, notice there's no list of bands or anything. Again, to go back to my point of like the
Yeah.
idea is like it's a festival and yeah, there'll be some music there, but like that's not the point, right?
Yeah.
No list of artists. just yachts.
Yeah, yachts, models, somewhere in the tropical islands of somewhere.
Yamo be there.
All right, let me see if I find the right. Which one of these is the right one? No payroll.
No payroll at all. So I don't know if you had a setup for this. I remember a lot of it.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah, you found it.
all right, so this is from Amplify, ampthemag.com. Again, I'll include the links later. The key thing is that here, let me just read the basic. Okay, it's a disaster.
Who was the author of this? We need to call him out.
Right, that's what I'm trying to find. But these dudes, let's see, Amplify has obtained an email from Fyre Festival Director of Marketing, Grant Margolin, to his staff with his notes on the now famous Fyre Festival promo video. And in just under 1,000 words, Margolin lays out his delusional, detail-rich vision for the musical direction of the widely viewed video, weaving an over-the-top web of complex compositional theory that would push even the most detail-driven composer to madness. Well, not exactly. It just sounds like you. If you really think what you're laying out here makes sense, you should have just done it yourself.
Right, exactly.
Because it sounds like he's saying like you gotta.
He goes into detail. It's like if it's
I gotta read it. I just gotta read like literally probably the whole thing because it's fucking insane and long as shit.
Right, but it's like if he knew those terms, it probably would have taken him less time to write the music than to write the thing out.
You know what? I want to read this whole thing, but I also have to go to the bathroom. So I'm gonna, for the first time ever, I'm gonna see if I can do this right.
You're gonna cross the streams.
Yeah. So there we go. So now we're just at least the picture's off. So please stand by for more Your Music is Bad.
It's like you could you play the theme song, but that might confuse people. You need like a standby vamp. Yeah, exactly. Be like, and we're back.
And we're back. Ish.
You should just steal the from the I think it's from Krusty the Clown where they show the camera operator and he's like drunk.
Yeah. All right. So
Grant Margolin in his email.
All right. Hi all. I hope this email finds everybody well this morning. It was a pleasure to meet yesterday. Everything looks very strong and we're excited to keep the momentum on as we move through this process. I know one outstanding question mark with regard to the video is music. I know that we touched on this a bit during our meeting yesterday, but wanted to provide further clarity on direction as I do know time is of the essence. With regard to the brand piece, we're all in agreement that an original composition is the way to go here.
The brand piece.
The brand piece. Would love to lock down a composer as soon as possible. I know you mentioned having a few shortlisted composers. Would love to hear their work. Ideally, these individuals will have a strong theoretical background with a diverse knowledge of classical, popular, and world music, which is what I heard in that clip, and not just a shitty beat. We have to rewatch it because
not just like third-rate post dubstep.
Yeah, it was so. Yeah. as far as the musical direction for the brand piece is concerned, we really need to pushy the sonic boundary. That was as written,
Yeah,
included
right,
typo.
But they don't make. There's no sick.
Right,
Like it's
right.
just like. Who knows at this
Who knows?
point? This shit's so off
Yeah.
the rails. Maybe that's a word we don't know.
Yeah. The track should work at most points synergistically with the visual composition. However, at key moments, having the music and visual composition run in parallel to create moments of tension. What does that mean? Like, how are they running in parallel?
Right. Well, how are they not running in parallel
Right.
to then
How do you
transition into running in parallel?
Exactly.
I think. Anyway.
Anyway, to create moments of sonic tension, parentheses, to be sonically resolved, because that's what you do with tension. I feel like he's just trying to prove he took a music theory class once.
Right.
Would strengthen
Right. Doesn't
the
he
overall...
later mention Picardy thirds or something?
Right,
Like.
right. It's like, no, actually, it sounds like he has a music theory degree.
Does he talk about French augmented sixths or is it Picardy thirds? It's something like
Right,
that.
right.
Where you're just like, ugh.
All right. What's here? Although some of the inspirations below are quite global, I think we need to develop a track with mass appeal. When global music elements are leveraged properly, the bits of unfamiliarity perhaps enhance listener attention. Cohesiveness of the overall work is so important. I agree, but do you? Because I don't think you know what any of those words mean. Okay, and we're barely a
But he
third
then
into the
goes.
thing.
He
This
goes
is
into
so
painful detail.
like
about,
if you stopped there, it would be kind of it would be typical corporate bullshit
Right,
of
you'd be like, this dude
is
has
what we
his
need. We need
fucking head up his
synergy,
ass.
and they need to run in parallel. The music needs to happen at the same time as the video.
and there should
make
be
it happen.
There should be tension in world music.
Right.
Okay. All right, bro. But it really goes off
But
the
it
rails.
keeps going. He just keeps going. There's no point. There's no way. He could have. You could have made the beat from the video in the time it took him to write
No,
this.
that's what I'm saying. It's whatever. This email clearly got lost. I think hopefully what happened. Well, hopefully what happened is they went and they found royalty-free music on the YouTube bin.
Right.
But if they did actually hire someone, whoever was responsible for it was like, "Hey, I know a guy." And then they were like, yeah, so my boss sent me this insane email. I'm not even going to show it to you.
Yeah.
Do you have something? Can you get me something by
Right.
Wednesday?
Just look at it. It's you can watch the video. It's
Yeah.
what audio goes
right,
with that?
Just make a cue for this. And they'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they did. And then, so he goes on this insane bullshit. And what's hilarious is, he uses all these technical
This
terms.
is where it starts to get interesting. Okay, elements and inspirations. This is like a bullet point list now.
A very long
Bullet point list with very long descriptions on each bullet point.
Each bullet is very long.
So first point, use of odd meters, i.e. compounded time signatures or something like 5/4 for more exploratory elements. With global music elements can help to inform the more quote-unquote exploratory, which you just said.
And also was
bits
not
of
in
the work.
quotes last time.
Right. Where use of even meters, i.e. 4/4 straight ahead, either say 4/4, you don't have to explain 4/4 if you're going to say 4/4, can inform the more emotional, in quotes,
emotional.
segments. Use of strings in odd meter is quite effective.
That's like saying playing music's effective.
Did you saw the Dream Theater plus orchestra DVD and thought it was good? Okay, so that was the first bullet point. Second bullet point. Use of reverberation during water sequences, parentheses, i.e. how this is achieved in genres such as tropical house, end parentheses, adds a more quote-unquote suspended element to the work. That's not what that word means. Employing the use of modulation to transition in and out of various sections is good.
Modulation is good.
Here's how I read that. Modulation is sometimes used to transition in and out of sections. And that happens in music. And so it should happen in this music. Also is the use of modulation in unexpected places, parentheses, however, this is cautioned as it can be quite jagged.
Yeah, it's like...
Oh, man. It's like he thinks somebody asked him to explain music. And this is how he's like, here's the thing about music. Modulation can be good, but also it can be bad. Third bullet point, instrumentation inspirations, at which point there is a bullet point list nested within the bullet point list to list xylophone, Sudro, Brazilian drum, Tico drums, especially during more exploratory elements, tabla, which can be filtered. I mean, anything can be filtered.
Right.
That's how filters work. Fretless bass, as opposed to P or jazz bass.
Because those are the only 3 kinds of basses.
See, at this point, instead of thinking he took music theory, I just think he works at Guitar Center and is like, there's peach basses and there's jazz basses. And those are the kinds of basses.
But then, like, there's a fretless bass. Right. Yo, there's this other thing, fretless bass, which is not a P or a J.
As opposed to P or J basses, would add more of a glue, especially with the more global elements. I would listen to Bakithi Kumalo on Graceland, as this is the ultimate exemplar. So, in other words, your best example of world music is when Paul Simon used world music.
We'll have an even better bad example of a term coming up. But yes, Graceland as the example of world music is pretty bad.
Isn't that like I feel like that's like the perfect that was the time when everybody was like, world music, guys, world music, which also was a way of saying not Western music.
Well, no, here's the thing, Matt. All like mainstream people, classical music is still on this like world music.
Right. No, it's like not.
Do you have a gamelan piece?
Music I'm not familiar with equals music that like the baseline average American is not familiar with equals world music.
Right. Well, and that's part of the thing about there was this term in concert music that was kind of offensive. It was called ethnomusicology, which was distinct from musicology. Like as if like. It's like there's people and there's black people. No, there's people. There's music and there's ethno music. So there's music.
You take music history, which is essentially European music history, and then they're like, and this is all the music that up until now, not counting popular music or stuff from any other country that's not in Europe,
or cultural tradition or tuning system.
Yes. Okay, so back to the main bullet point list. String segments which fall somewhere in between bright blue music, Torka, during the build sections, and Hassan learns French cooking. This is perhaps overly exaggerated staccato, however, dialing back 25% on the staccato. I will land in a nice place.
I literally never had seen that performance direction where they're like staccato, but like dial it back. It's like
25% less staccato.
Do you want a Lorraine? Like what do you actually want? This is confusing. Are there maybe just notate durations? Like,
could you have just written it by now? It sounds like you feel like you could. Like, honestly, whoever, like, okay, again, this guy is like, I know enough about music. I could do this myself, but I'm in charge of marketing.
But I'm so busy. I'm so busy marketing.
I'm so busy marketing.
We gotta get somebody else.
Like writing this super important email about how to write this music properly.
Just so we're clear.
Holy shit, there's so much of this article left. Although it's not all oh no, never mind. It's like 80% comments. So it's not too bad.
It's like 20% less article.
Yes. Okay, use of extremely consonant key signatures, i.e. D or G, would really help to provide resolution after the more exploratory elements.
Hold on, we gotta back up.
Yes.
So C and D are more consonant than other keys?
Sure.
You know when they are? When your piano is tuned in just intonation. Not when it's an equal temperament.
Yeah.
So he failed his tuning theory class.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he took one.
Or a psychoacoustics class. Oh, they didn't offer that at community college?
Wherever he went. He probably went to a business school and then took like a minor in music or something. And this is like the 2 semesters of music theory he had. Okay.
He's on LinkedIn. I'm going to see what degree he has.
Okay, so would really help to provide resolution. Likely the composer will need to back into this compositionally if they're using an odd key. How do we back into something compositionally?
No, and again, odd key.
An odd, right?
Tell me what's an odd key.
Well,
For
it's not
this
C or
music-
G. That's for damn
For
sure.
this music that is very clearly going to be played by a computer. Right, because it's like, oh, I
for
don't know,
the
man.
beat that somebody's gonna make.
My Mac has a really hard time with 6 sharps. Could we maybe get something like in the 3 flats range?
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay.
My DAW just does so much better.
So if they're using an odd key, parentheses, however, use of borrowed chords, parallel keys, secondary dominance, end parentheses, would prove to be helpful. Why did you end the parentheses? That's the same sentence. No,
here we go.
Okay, parentheses, however, use of borrowed chords, parallel keys, secondary dominance, end parentheses, would prove to be helpful. So he's just so wild with his parentheses.
No.
He can't even tell when they start and end anymore. He's just like parenthetical.
Right, so if you read it without that parenthetical phrase, it is not a sentence anymore.
Right.
Okay, no, here we go. I found it out. He went to Syracuse and he got a BS in recording arts and allied entertainment industries.
Oh my god, that's exactly what it should be. It's like
right.
enough for him to be like,
No, and he like he got it in 2014. And so that's the sort of thing he's like, this is literally like if you were a photographer and so you tried to explain painting to someone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're like, I took a picture
of a painting once, and so
I know a lot about painting.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro.
And you took like an intro art course once, so you get like what you can the terminology.
His minor was in public communications. He made the dean's list. Oh, and he put his NSCS on here, National Society of Collegiate Scholars, which is one of those things where if like they send it to everyone, and if you pay the $25, you can like put down that you did it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Continue.
So, okay, more nonsense. Okay.
We have to get to
next
my
bullet
favorite.
point.
We haven't gotten to my favorite part yet.
Okay. Lack of repetition is quite important. Next point.
To
Like,
go with
all
all
these-
those odd meters.
Right. Next point. Heavily cutting elements, i.e., how Kiara's gold is cut in the first 2 to 3 seconds, would also serve as good transition elements. I assume he means like editing, like choppy editing or something, but who knows, because that's nonsense. Global inspiration as opposed to all the world music. And then he gives a bunch more like really specific examples. Because again, by this point, like with all these, like whoever, if he expects a composer to actually like listen to all the examples in here, like please combine Paul Simon's Graceland with this house track I heard once, and also these classical pieces. Okay, so Rhythm of the Saints, specifically the track Can't Run But, Hamadoun Tour by Siddiqui Diabate. This is a classic expression of West African chord playing, which is very combinative. Is that a word?
I think he's trying to say like combinatorics,
Right.
Like it
With Brazilian Sudro.
but it sounds like combative.
Yeah, and more progressive elements such as marimba. Cool Papa Bell, her use of progressive elements and ambient accessorial elements in the extreme right or left of the sonic field. So he's basically saying pan shit hard. Now he's telling you how to mix it. Like,
Well, that's what his degree is in. That's what he should be telling you about.
And then finally, classical inspiration. The string elements in Glory, if dialed back 30%, would be right on point.
So this is my favorite part of the whole thing for 2 reasons. One, these arbitrary percentages like enter in again, but at least this one makes it like the 25% less staccato thing made 0 sense. This makes some sense, but the Glory he is referencing, because there's a link.
Yeah.
It's the Common and John Legend song.
Oh, okay.
So that's his example of classical. A song by John Legend and a rapper. Okay, it's just that it has strings in it. But
There's worse. There's more bad classical references coming up. Oh man.
oh,
so
really?
specific.
That's the only one I remembered.
Okay, so that was the end of the elements.
Does he then talk about like film music and think it's classical?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that was
also
the elements and inspiration. And if that wasn't enough, there's another bullet point list: elements to avoid in the track.
nice. Okay.
Keeping in mind, this is still a track for like a 3-minute promo video of stock footage.
In case you dial back the staccato too much, he just wants you to know when you get into the danger zone.
Right. All right. Regal, i.e. Hans Zimmer style French horns.
That's the first good advice he said in the whole thing. Don't sound like Hans Zimmer.
No, he's saying sound like Hans Zimmer's use of
I thought
French
it
horns.
was to avoid.
Oh,
elements to
yeah,
avoid.
you're right. It is. Using them, but he's going to be really specific about how not to use them because he probably likes them. He's just saying, just don't use them here.
Just not appropriate for models on a yacht.
Using them in the cut would be a bit over the top in quotes and stress emotion. I'm just going to keep doing the quotes, so you can check us out our video one for my air quotes to reference the actual quotes. So stress emotion rather than imply and allow the listener to feel.
That's my favorite air quote.
Moreover, as French horn will likely be sampled and no fucking shit, I'm not sure how live the horn lines will feel, even with sampling systems such as East-West Vienna contact. The lack of breadth and variance with live recorded French horn will draw away from the incremental benefit of using phrases and themes. Thank you for sharing your opinions on the state of sampling technology.
This whole thing is beyond the pale at this point. It's just like what?
I mean, I assume he did a lot of cocaine before writing this because it just
while writing it,
right? Like I just like how else could you get this deep in and still be like, man, I'm killing it with this.
I think this is all inside parentheses too.
Oh yes, this is. So he says, I'm not sure how live the horn lines will feel.
Oh, this parentheses just never ends.
he
just forgets.
Here he forgets to end it. So it starts at it's oh god, let me start the sentence so you get
there's
context.
no way anyone can possibly parse this. I can't parse it even reading
Right.
it.
This
It's
is
a lost
I'm
cause.
gonna highlight the sentence so I start and end it properly. Moreover, as French horn will likely be sampled, I'm not sure how live the horn lines will feel. Parentheses. Even with sampling systems such as East-West Vienna contact, the lack of breadth and variance with live recorded French horns will draw away from the incremental benefit of using phrases and themes, period. And then, next sentence, caution against the use of English horn. Which
First of all, English horn, not a horn. We're gonna have a really quick history lesson here.
Yeah.
Okay. The French horn is a horn.
Yeah.
It's a brass instrument. It's the curly tubey thing with the valves that everyone knows. An English horn was an angled horn. So they would say like anglais. So they would say English, right? But the whole thing is a complete misnomer.
Because it's angled.
But it's more like just a, like an oboe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not really a horn.
All right. So, caution against the use of English horn. However, bassoon would be a good use of woodwinds. Clarinet, when combined with bass clarinet and bassoon, are incredible. Would not use saxophone. Are you going to go through every classical instrument that's been invented?
But as soon as he said saxophone, I was like, but Careless Whisper would have been like such a better like promo.
All right. Overly
Also,
luscious.
would have had some great foreshadowing with the Never Gonna Dance Again.
Yeah. Overly luscious string elements. All too often it comes across
Right, because he told you
as
to dial it back 30%. We've already been here, bro.
super redundant. All too often it comes across as sappy and too gushy. Instead, I would recommend something a bit more reserved.
And if there's someone who
God,
knows,
this is-
if there's a
so
guy
bad.
who knows about too much,
So even
It's
though he's already
this
established
guy.
everything's going to be sampled, here he's going to tell you exactly the composition of the ensemble you should get, i.e. leveraging an arrangement such as 5 violins, 2 violas, 2 cello, and contrabass.
by the way, that's I'm not going to nitpick on that, but you really should say double bass because contrabass is a register.
Yeah.
So you say contrabass, name of instrument. Like there is a contrabass flute.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
I was
it's
like,
really
what
double
the fuck is
bass.
contrabass? Yeah. I know the is difficult, so you just left out an important word there. I
know that writing emails coherently is difficult.
I know that is difficult as we are recording strings in the box via same as opposed to live. So it's going to be sampled, but you still want them to specifically use this ensemble arrangement.
Make sure you use exactly 4 fake violas.
Yes. As opposed to live. However, in string sampling plugins, oftentimes the composer can throttle up and down the lusciousness.
Oh, I throttle down. I throttle down the
right.
lusciousness
All right,
whenever
there's two
possible.
more, almost,
Two more bullets.
almost done. Oh God, I forgot about that's so awesome. It's perfectly like there's. I'm not gonna spoil it, but you'll know what I was referencing when it happens. Themes. Sorry, there's too many good themes which are too quest driven, i.e., take inspiration from video games like Zelda and the like. While we do have quest driven elements, i.e., treasure hunt,
i.e., surviving in the wilderness.
we need to come across more as exploratory and less driven on a mission. None of this means anything. This is where the use of unfamiliar global music elements, please see above, will come in. Most prominently, the use of xylophone or other percussive melodic instruments. And traditional elements from Brazil, Sudro, or West Africa, Kora is great. Luckily, the global music plugins for Logic are quite amazing. Are there any other plugins you'd like to recommend? Like
All of them.
have you finished the track yet? Like, just do it. You'd be so done by now.
That's what he has a degree in, man, is plugins.
All right, final thing to avoid. Ending on a one chord or square endings.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
I think ending... here's another parentheses that never ends. He just loves... He's like, side note. I think ending on some variants of a four chord can be interesting, or a subtly pickety third contrasted with another compositional element as not to make things so square. I just... What? Oh, it's so nonsense. Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. So again, I went to music school a while ago, but he has that wrong. It's not pickety, it's Picardy, like as in like Picard, like.
Oh, so
Pickety is not a thing.
Right. I was gonna say, what the fuck does that mean?
He's a moron.
Yes.
He doesn't
This
even
is
know
true.
recording arts degree. Get out of here. Get out of here with your composition email.
All right.
I gotta look this up.
Wait,
though.
this makes sense now because of his degree. Although the compositional elements to this work will be important, the sound design and mix are an equally important exercise! Exclamation mark for like the first time in this article. Proper placement of instruments in the sound field, allowing for not such a straight ahead compressed mix, is important. White space and breath is crucial! Exclamation point. Which I say again because he is not. The one thing he is not, as a terrible marketing writer, he hasn't been using a ton of ridiculous exclamation points, except for that paragraph, because he has to point out how important the mix is.
See, he made the impact
because
when he
we know
needed
how
to.
important it is to him. The above was meant to provide some frame of reference from the composer.
It failed miserably. Let me be the first one to inform you. This fucking nonsense went on so long, we are lost in the wood. We went on a quest. The quest elements of navigating this fucking email.
I do think the best tracks are ones which are briefed prior to the composer putting pen to paper. Because we're going to be writing this on a piece of paper after establishing that it's going to be in the box in Logic with plugins and probably a beat that's 3 minutes long.
Wait, what does he mean briefed?
He means that somebody should describe it for way too long in an email, which is clearly what you believe because you just did it.
Right, just forward the email back to him.
Right.
Here you go, bro. Here's what I'm thinking.
That being said, I really want them to inject their own style and methods. The above is just a collection of thoughts I'd find helpful if I was writing. If you actually wrote music, you would know that no, you would not find it helpful. You would find it super fucking annoying.
You would find it hilariously
and hilarious.
Meandering.
Okay, but to top it all off, he has to reference a Kanye track. With regard to the hype track, Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 is the track of choice. Looking forward to information regarding music publishing or licensing. If you could recommend some other track, I think use of soul samples with a contemporary lyrical approach, it'd be great. Which is what Kanye's doing, is soul samples with a contemporary lyric approach of writing really shitty lyrics.
So I gotta give 2 points here. I think this dude's like 24. So first of all, he gets a partial pass for being a moron because he doesn't. He probably hasn't
he doesn't
yet
know
learned,
things yet.
Right, he hasn't learned that like less is more. But also, how the fuck is this dude in charge of anything if he's 24? Like, that should just show you how terrible this organization is.
Right, because he probably he probably has a trust fund or something, and so he graduated with his music recording,
His BS.
his BS
degree.
And
I
but
would
yeah,
like to
and he
point
wants to
that
be
out.
legends, man. He wants to be a legend. So he's like, let me get on this Ja Rule train,
I just want to
ride it straight to the top.
I just want to point out that I'm really proud that I don't have a BS degree. I have a BM.
Nice. I have a BA. So at least there's art in the title. But also, I don't think. Oh no, I could have gotten a BS because it was an option, and I considered it. But like, it was just with the classes I'd already taken, it was just easier to do a BA. So I was like, who gives a shit?
I don't need a bullshit degree
BS either
because
way,
I
right?
have a
It's still
I have a
BS.
poop degree.
The point is, all these degrees are shit.
What are you
Yeah,
talking about,
so-
man? You can wipe your ass with that paper.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's also like a fully bullshit. What was it called? Like a pitch deck. There's like a full document.
Yeah.
Bullshitting the entire festival that I'm sure reads similar to that.
Oh man, I gotta see that.
It's like 90 pages though, so I did
A
not.
pitch deck is
Right?
supposed to be 17 to 35 pages.
Exactly. And so again, someone.
And it's supposed to be like those pages are like PowerPoint slides, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to read the deck in like under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
See if I can
90
find it.
if there was one word per page, I don't know if you could make it through a 90 page deck. Are you pulling it up?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh no, it's okay. Never mind. Oh no, this is only. Those are excerpts, so I thought it was less pages.
Here's what would be great is if there's the pitch deck and there's a team section, right? So we can get some more info on our boy Grant.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about all the hilarious. Okay, this one hits on all the hilarious bullshit names they're using for stuff. So like okay, so
Oh yeah, I read
this is
one.
from Vanity Fair. They got their hands on the pitch deck. There's one area where advertisers are clearly winning, so-called influencers on social media. Those are people who, at least on Instagram, don't have or need a job and yet seem to live in a constant state of happiness, seemingly walking around in bikinis at a pool or beach all day and hanging out with one of the Kardashians, enjoying free bottle service at the club all night. These people have essentially become walking integrated marketing campaigns. For McFarland and Ja Rule, they were called, aptly enough, fire starters. And then, as the investor deck notes, the one person who was pitched by the organizers told me the Fyre squad had recruited over 400 fire starters.
At what point do the firemen come in?
And at what
I feel
point-
like they never did, and that was the
Right.
problem.
And at what point does the fire squad and I assume there's also a firing squad for when everyone gets laid off at the end. Let's see. Yeah. So, okay, the pitch deck is, okay, let me get the actual pitch deck. See if it has like a, it is at least, pretty visual.
Music's a very visual medium these days.
Oh God. Oh, this might be funny. All right. So the first, oh man. Okay. Okay. I got to read the Fyre title card. Fyre. Fyre defines how we engage audiences, consume media, and share content by connecting consumers, celebrities, and brands through live experiences. Understanding that today's cohort interacts, engages, and follows a new generation of role models who are defining today's culture, the Fyre platform changes the way how they interact with their fans. Oh, right. So this was supposed to...
changes the way how they interact. They
Yes.
couldn't even proofread the first fucking slide.
Yeah.
Who invested in this? Because I have a pitch deck that they need to see. Holy shit.
Right. And this reminds me. The other thing was this was supposed to be the event to launch an app. There was supposed to be an app that this was going to launch. And so, which I'm sure they never made. So, oh man. But yeah, this is pretty bad. Yeah, so this is supposed to be showing you how there's going to be an app, although it's just a picture of like an iPhone. and all like the people. I wonder if these are. I don't think these people are actually. Oh, maybe they. Okay, so I'm going to read all these names just so these people are properly publicly shamed, because that's like a big part of what we do here. Let's see. So they got Talent Network, and let's see, Jamie Foxx. I almost want to go through and like point out the bullshit reasons that like no shit they would do this. Like Jamie Foxx, who is now hosting a karaoke show on I forget what network it's on.
Is it one of those shows that doesn't admit that it's a karaoke show?
No, I'm sorry, I confused it with a different one. It's not. I'm sorry, it's dumber than that. There is a new karaoke show with like celebrities doing karaoke, like a step up from celebrity lip sync.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is dumber. Jamie Foxx is hosting Can You Beat Shazam?
What?
Where you try to beat Shazam at identifying a song.
Oh, it's named that tune.
Right,
but with technology.
But versus and a shitty app. Like,
okay. All right, so
this show is branded content.
I can understand why they would, because it's one of those deals where they just want to remake old successful ideas.
Right.
Okay.
And partner with Shazam to like.
Right. But tangent. I just want to point out there was one great karaoke show.
Which one was that?
Killer Karaoke.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that.
Steve-O hosted a game show.
Oh God.
Where regular people had to like sing a song, like whatever karaoke, while they were being physically tortured or tormented. So they would do stuff like
Oh, that sounds familiar.
It was always bizarre. It was like Fear Factor met karaoke.
Oh man.
And so there were ones that were straight out of Fear Factor where it was like you're gonna get in this like tub of worms or whatever. But there were also way too elaborate ones. Like there was one where they're like, we're gonna cover you in balloons, and then we're gonna blindfold you, and then you need to walk through this cactus maze. Like what? But so the whole thing though was like the singing was like never, because you couldn't stay on like I have no idea. But let me tell you something. The premise made no sense, but the show was hilarious. Like because it was just like these schmucks would do anything to be on TV.
Yeah.
And so we literally tortured them to be on television.
Nice.
And that is hilarious.
Okay, so I gotta put this on the screen because it's a visual.
Yeah, do it. It's very visual medium. The internet.
So I can do this right again. Blink. Oh, I gotta iPad it. That's why. All right, let me send this link to myself. Oh, I'll sync it over my note thingy.
There have been a lot of crappy karaoke shows, right? Singing Bee.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, American Idol and X Factor and The Voice. I mean, those are all karaoke shows.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, yeah, I feel like karaoke was huge on American TV for like a decade. American Idol's finally off the air, right? Like that's done.
Yes. But The Voice is not
right. Well, and The Voice is international now. There's like The Voice Australia and like all this other crap.
Oh yeah. And I think X Factor's done too. I think it's just The Voice. They're like the last man standing in that market. But yeah, now they're going for Can You Beat Shazam? Okay. Bring this up.
Last time I used Shazam, it was surprisingly good. It identified Mahler's First Symphony like in the 20 minutes in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like in the middle of the thing. Because I don't really like Mahler, and I was like, I think this is Mahler's First Symphony. Because we were in the car, and then we Shazammed it, and it came up, and it was, and I was like, 1, I'm surprised I was right. 2, I was impressed that Shazam got it right.
Yeah. Okay, and here it is. Let's see if it loads properly. Oh no, I want that. All right, here it is. Oh, fuck you. Full screen. Okay. All right. That'll work. Putting it up. There we go. Now.
Can you go full screen on that? I don't know that people are gonna be able to.
Oh yeah, good. Well, I just wanted to, this is actually just what I wanted to show is just visual. Shit, why is it scrolling down? It's not showing me the page I want. I just want this one. Why is it not? Might be a fucking iPad thing.
Get the confidentiality agreement in there.
Yeah. Available for preview? Oh fuck, it's some fucking app bullshit. All right, forget it. Anyway, the point is
it detects when you're on mobile and tries to gouge you.
Yeah, fucking anyway. Oh shit, I looked at the wrong one. Anyway, the point is okay, here
We
let me
gotta rattle off the rest of the names. The
Here's what it
next
is.
one was Queen Latifah.
Right, but here's why. It's because there's pictures of a bunch of people, and then immediately below that, there is a list of people with less names than the pictures that they just showed of all the people. And and under the names of the people are their names. So here, get down to Fyre. There it is. Okay, so you see Jamie Foxx, Queen Latifah, Iggy Azalea, Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled, and Jessie Joe Stark. Then underneath that, it says Fyre's roster includes some of the most iconic names in entertainment, including Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled, Antonio Pierce, Jamie Foxx, Queen Latifah, and hundreds of other notable artists, athletes, and influencers. One name is different, and there's no additional names, and also you just repeated the same
Matt,
same
this is
names.
the plenty more of the Fyre.
Basically, okay, the point is we're not going to go through the entire thing because it'll take too long, and it's fucking terrible. And if you Google pitch deck Fyre Fyre, you can find it. It's on Vanity Fair, and yeah. Oh, I see, because it's on Scribe. That's why I couldn't load it on the iPad. Yeah.
Right, that's when they do the thing where you're on mobile, so they want to gouge you. Like, you need the app.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm just using web browser.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of pictures and shit. It's still way too long and ridiculous. And oh man, there's the Fyre Squad. Who's on the Fyre Squad? Fuck Jerry.
That's
the guy, social media guy.
That's the guy that posts like stupid crap on Instagram that everyone follows.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, so there's also a terrible pitch deck you can check out, and it's hilarious. And it's probably, it's got to be the worst festival disaster in
ever
history. Yeah, because like what else comes close to that big of a fuck up?
Well, because like if you most festivals, the disaster scenario is like Axl Rose didn't show up, and then like no one played and nobody got paid. This is all those things plus we stranded a whole bunch of people with no food or accommodations.
Yeah,
like they literally put people in danger.
And they had to evacuate. So they all arrive. So they went as far as bringing them in like buses. Well, they had to fly in because I think it's like on an island or something, and then they had to bus them to the site, and then they arrived at the site where it's just FEMA tents, and then people were like, I don't think this is like maybe what we signed up for, and so then they were like, oh, and then all of a sudden people were like, maybe this is actually a safety risk because there's like, food here and like
shelter.
Right, there's
no food or
the
shelter.
shelter is tents, and then there's like a I think there may be like a shower tent or something, but it sounded like they almost tried to be like, what do you mean? We got these tents and it's, everyone gets dirty at festivals, right?
You've been to Gathering of the Juggalos, right?
Right. Oh man, it makes Gathering of the Juggalos look pretty legit.
Looks well coordinated.
Like a well coordinated event.
That's what they should have done. They should have hired the coordinators from Gathering of the. I mean, because they're saying this was the first big event these people done.
That reminds me, we never checked out, what was that a big announcement?
Oh, it's in Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So it's at like an actual like fairground or something. So we should talk about this for a second because this is hilarious. So the new, so I don't know if you recall, but the Juggalos were planning a demonstration march in DC, right? So the auspices of this was the FBI labeled Juggalos a quote hybrid gang, and so ICP retained a lawyer, or Psychopathic Records or whoever retained a lawyer, and then they were taking complaints from people saying like, and there was stuff like, oh yeah, during my child custody hearing, it came up that I was a juggalo, or there's lots of things where it's like, this child welfare services like came to my home and they saw all my Hatchet Man shit, right? Well,
Yeah.
And so it was like, has this negatively affected you? And so they were like, we need to get this label removed. So they're like, we're gonna have a march on Washington. But basically, what it really was like a marketing event. And so the guys in the like spin-off Juggalo bands, like Twisted and I can't remember the other one. Twisted, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
These guys are on there's another horrorcore label, right? So it's ICP's on Psychopathic. There's this other one. It's called Magic, which is spelled wrong. Magic Ninja Entertainment. So the Magic Ninja Entertainment guys, I guess they probably like were like, okay, well, so what are we getting paid to play this march, whatever?
Yeah.
And I guess ICP was like, not much. And so they were like, well, then we're not playing, because they were like, it's not about getting paid, it's about. They're like, no, it's about getting paid.
Yeah.
Right. So then ICP came out and was like, oh fuck, fuck Magic Ninja and blah blah and all these guys. And so it's hilarious because I'm like stealth in the Gathering of the Juggalo Facebook group.
Yeah.
And they fight about this stuff, and it's so funny. Because it's like the most incoherent, and occasionally there will be like some voice of reason, like some high functioning Juggalo will come in and be like, this is nonsense, and then like a couple other people are like, yeah, pretty much. And then it devolves down to like, it's like clearly this was, ICP want to retain control over like this culture and the money from it. And people are like, no, they're traitors, fuck family, blah, blah. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? You're like, but then it's in classic, controversy creates cash formula. Now everybody's putting out diss tracks, and I'm like, that's my whole thing. Like, I wish I had legitimate like artist beef, or like at least manufactured artist beef,
right?
So I could put out diss tracks, because apparently that's a great way to like sell some records.
Yeah, we gotta do like a. I don't know. We gotta do a French Architects diss track. We gotta just try to start beef.
If we beef Juggalos, they'll beef back.
Yeah. It's all, I don't know. Is that too easy though? Oh no, I guess you're right. They'll fucking start some shit.
I mean, and our rap will sound highly competent compared to theirs.
That's true.
So the other part of that is so the lineup this year, instead of being like a bunch of bands you've never heard of, but like you recognize from previous, it's like bands you don't even recognize, or sorry, artists.
No, you know what we got to do is we got to do a good ICP episode and then promote the fuck out of it and try to promote it in like Juggalo circles, so they get really mad and start like a boycott or something. And it's like, but nobody, and then they just tell a bunch of people about this podcast, and some of them are like I bet a bunch of them would just like low key start listening to it because they probably hate other shit that we hate, and they're like, I mean, they're wrong about ICP, but like everything else, like, pretty on point. Like when they talk about how much Slipknot sucks.
Oh yeah, Maggots versus Juggalos. So hilarious segue. If we want to get to our last, or what I think is our last topic, was
it's kind of the off-topic topic.
On that tip, Trump gave a commencement speech over the weekend in which he said it's best to be an outsider because there's nothing worse or nothing worse than being a critic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
yeah.
Unless you're criticizing someone ruining your country, that's like the whole dissent is patriotic. But so on that tip,
wait. So here's our off-topic thing of the day. This is appropriate though because we pretty much covered Fyre Festival. This is a good. We'll go out on the off-topic thing. That also makes it easy for me to like chop it out as a like separate little highlight block of off-topic stuff. So the news being that the new, more exciting than Kanye saying he's going to run for president in 2020 is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the highest paid actor in the world. Is thinking about running for president.
And star of Baywatch.
Star of Baywatch.
Okay, so I actually have a couple points on this. So the thing was like, I guess it was like a joke, right? Somebody was like, "Oh, The Rock should run for president. He would win."
Yep.
And but then it's just like the joke hasn't really gone away. And so there was an interview with GQ this week where they asked him about it, and he did a great job of pandering. He it was obviously, he was like, "Oh, this is a funny joke, like I'll play it along."
Right.
But he's like, "But if we want to get serious, let's cut some taxes." And like I forget, and he was like 3-day weekends. Like it was like,
Yes,
it's like it's clear he's like, he knows how to talk to what the people
Right.
want. But right, so Baywatch is about to come out, right? Which is probably why he was doing the interview for GQ.
Right.
Okay, so Hannibal Buress on his Instagram, he had video from the red carpet for Baywatch, and it's hilarious because in like the third video, he's filming the segment where they interview The Rock, like whoever from E or whatever, right? But it's playing over the loudspeakers, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so excited. As soon as I heard about this project, I knew I had to be involved, and it's been a lot of work, hard work, but everybody's really excited." And while this is going on, you hear someone say to Hannibal, "Hi, can I see your credentials?" And he's like, "Credentials?" It's so awesome. You feel like you want to be like, "My name's Hannibal." You'd be like, "I broke that Bill Cosby shit. Maybe you've heard of me. I broke that Bill Cosby shit." Oh man, it's fucking funny. But anyway, so that movie's gonna be terrible, and he's been in a lot of those terrible Fast and Furious movies, and he's been in a lot of terrible Disney movies. And I feel like was the first movie he was in, was it Be Cool, where he played like the weird, like he had that bit part as like the gay guy?
Maybe. I feel like, but either that, I don't know if it was his, like in my mind, what I think of as his first movie, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just his first, like, with like high billing, was Doom.
Oh, I think that was first. No, I think that was later, but let's look it up. Let's IMDb this.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I'm willing to bet that Doom was after. But let's find out. Where's just the thing that tells you what he's been in? I don't need his bio. I don't need photos and what he looks like. Oh, filmography. Here we go.
Okay, so wrestling. That 70s show, the TV series.
He has 20 producer credits.
Video, TV. The Mummy Returns. That's his first real movie.
Oh, was that the one with Randy Couture?
Probably. I don't remember. There's another wrestler in that.
Oh yeah. So
and then his spin-off, The Scorpion King.
You were very close. Be Cool immediately precedes Doom.
Yeah. So they
were probably
close.
in production at the same time. Yeah. Walking Tall. The Rundown? I don't even know what that is. Yeah, The Scorpion Key.
I like how they give what he was credited as, so you can watch him transition from The Rock to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and then I bet now he's just Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, okay. So here we go. Yeah. So Mummy Returns was the one that had some semblance of validity, but then The Scorpion King, I think, was the third one, which had Randy Couture in it.
No, The Scorpion King was the spin-off based on his character from The Mummy Returns.
Nice.
They were both garbage, but Scorpion King was extra garbage.
I didn't see
The
any
Scorpion
of them.
King should have been like, straight to video if it was still a thing at the time.
I feel
but
like,
it was...
so I didn't see The Mummy, but I feel like it was like, you all liked Indiana Jones, right? And you all like Brendan Fraser, right?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Plus, it was when they were remaking any classic horror franchise like Wolfman, Dracula, The Mummy, Frankenstein. Like they were just like, which of these haven't we done yet? The Mummy.
oh man, he was on Hannah Montana. He was on Corey in the House. He's been in a lot of garbage, right? But so this is why I don't understand. Like, I understand him continuing to get roles. Yeah. I don't understand him commanding the kind of money he does.
I think, well, for one thing,
or getting paid.
He's probably
Tooth Fairy.
To be fair,
how much did they pay him for Tooth Fairy?
I'm sure a lot. He, if you think about other wrestlers or actors with similar credentials, i.e., you got started because you're huge, and so you can play people who are supposed to be huge.
Like he played Hercules.
Yeah.
In Hercules.
Right. So like that, there's that, but I think he's one of the better actors with that advantage, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. He occupies a niche where there's a very thin supply.
Yes.
Because when it comes to big men, like Arnold, right, played the big
Right.
man, but he had that accent.
Yeah.
And like Arnold's charm was that he wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why they put him in like the odd couple, buddy comedies.
Yeah.
Was because it played on the fact that he was so out of place.
Yeah.
Right.
Kindergarten Cop.
Right.
Was literally the joke was
or twin junior
Right, yeah,
and twins.
yeah. Mhm.
Like so right, so I see what you're saying. So the Rock sort of occupied, right, because the other huge dudes, so Vin Diesel, apparently they legit hate each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was like a big deal filming Fast and, like they had to schedule all the stuff so they wouldn't be on set at the same time and all
shit.
this crap. Like they apparently legitimately hate each other. Now it could just be an angle. Maybe they're gonna wrestle next year at WrestleMania, right? Like,
Oh, I would love it if they started doing like, oh man,
because they had the guy who played Wolverine. What's
Yeah.
his but you know who Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman was on an episode of Raw a few years ago and wrestled so like Vin Diesel could.
Oh, man.
Vin Diesel could do a match at WrestleMania. Okay, so yeah, let's think about this. Who else is like big? And the other thing, I don't think Vin Diesel's a good actor. I think
no, definitely not.
his best roles was Riddick, where like he has like 5 lines the whole movie,
Right.
And they're said in a weird voice.
And that whole franchise is that angle. It's like we got a guy with muscles. So the story is that he's invincible, and then shit gets crazy. And you're like, what's the story of the movie? That's the story. Shit gets crazy in space.
And then in the one, I can't remember which one it was because there's like a million of them now.
Yeah.
I feel like there was one where it's like the thing was like, hey, you're gonna see Katie Sackhoff's boobs, and you're like, of all the but she's not that cute. She's like a total tomboy.
But it's so niche at that point.
Yeah, right. But a bunch of nerds tuned in.
Right.
But it was just like, what are you doing? Yeah. So like, who else is like a big dude? Big muscle dude that has lines. Because so the point where I was going to was
Right.
I was curious because so many of these are crap. Because Cena's trying to like he's part-time now and he's trying to transition.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, but if you just in my mind it's like, yeah, but if you just do garbage, that's not going to go anywhere. But then I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
but The Rock has done more garbage than anyone.
Right.
And he's making bank.
So The Rock, he's got a few legitimate like successful movies like the Fast and the Furious thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Moana movie did really well. Like that Disney
that's
movie.
right. Yeah, he did that.
But like the Tooth Fairy, like I just can't.
I'm just gonna turn to The Rock's filmography.
Yeah, it's. I feel like he was in a lot of really bad.
Oh, it definitely was
Really
a lot bad.
bad
But if it's
movies.
bad kid stuff,
Right,
then it's
then it's
negligible.
supposed to be bad.
Right.
Right.
Oh, he was in the second G.I. Joe, which was supposed to be like, sorry about the first one, this one will be better, but not really.
Was Sergeant Slaughter in it?
No. Although somebody might have been. Actually, wait. You know who Sergeant Slaughter was? Let me see if I got this right or if I made this up. Oh, no, they didn't do him. I thought they.
Oh, he was in Transformers Prime. Oh, only one episode.
Yeah,
I don't
so.
even know what that was. He was on Family Guy. I missed that.
I mean, the
episode.
thing is, he's working a lot. You know, visibility is a
he
big
hosted-
deal.
He hosted Saturday Night Live, which Cena also did.
Like the way I look at it, he's probably like all the shitty movies he's done. Nobody's probably blaming him for them failing because they're like,
Right.
it's not The Rock's fault. That's for damn sure, you know. And yeah, let's see. He did a couple Fast and Furiouses and
Gridiron Gang.
shit. That's really Fast and Furious and a bunch of garbage. And Moana and
I think Moana did
Baywatch.
well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Baywatch certainly they're expecting to do well.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
He has his obligatory superhero role now.
Speaking of Shazam,
Right, that's the one. It's not the Shaq Shazam. It's the new one, but based on the other. Yeah, so he's playing Black Adam in the new Shazam movie. So he's gonna be all up in the DC universe if they can keep
Jumanji,
that shit going.
Welcome to the Jungle. That's San Andreas 2. There's a 2.
Oh God. Yeah, that must have made money too, despite being. I think a lot of his movies are garbage, but they made money. Anyway, so his VP should be Jesse Ventura, right? And they should run on a post kayfabe ticket of, we'll tell you what's really going on, but then the whole thing is actually just like scripted bullshit.
It's like some deep state, like
yeah.
Oh man, yeah, the body. Jeez, who else? Yeah, so who else is like a big man? Like, cause we got The Rock, we got Cena, we got Vin Diesel.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's
there are no like super jacked dudes. I mean, cause he's like you know, steroid.
Yeah, I mean, Batista's doing
Jacked.
stuff, but it's not a lot of lines.
He doesn't have any lines.
Yeah,
though.
he has very few lines anyway, and his character's supposed to be an idiot.
But
so.
again, he came from wrestling.
Right.
Yeah.
Big guy.
The
with
thing
no
is,
lines.
he's actually like Dave Bautista's like a smart dude.
Oh yeah.
Like the reason he quit wrestling was because they were going PG, and he was like, I'm supposed to be a monster. Like I can't like effectively tell a story like as who I am. Like this is stupid. And so at first he just like ignored it, but then like Vince like fined him a shitload of money. Like $100,000 for like some match that he bladed in. For people who don't know, that means you cut yourself so it looks like you're bleeding. I mean, you are bleeding, but it looks like you got beat up.
Yeah.
You fined him $100,000, and that's when he was kind of like, okay, I guess this like isn't gonna work. Because if you're making like $1 million a year, you get fined 10% of your salary.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
He's a pretty smart guy actually. And then, but yeah, so fuck, who else? And who's not a wrestler? So far we've identified one non-wrestler.
Right, I'm trying to think of anybody who's that big. There's not a lot of big dudes.
There's a guy they should pick up. There's this dude. He used to be on wrestling, and his name was Damian Sandow. I forget his real name, but he's like a legitimate amazing actor. And he even like when he got released, part of his thing was he wasn't like bummed out at all. He's like, oh man, there's tons of stuff I want to do. He's like, maybe I can do some Shakespeare or something, blah blah. Like he was like all excited to go do other acting things. But I think unfortunately, like no one, like he's just not on anybody's radar. But that guy was legit. Like he was an amazing actor. Like someone needs to give him a role. And he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing you don't realize. Like pro wrestlers, because they're like in a ring and they're around other huge people, but they're all like gigantic. If you've ever met any pro wrestlers, they're enormous people.
Yeah.
Like.
So yeah, that's what I think it is. You know, it's a niche, and I guess the Fast and Furious movies are making a lot of money.
Is Pitbull in any of them? I feel like
his music probably is.
That's what I'm saying.
Greenlight's got to be in that new one. How could they not use that? I don't know.
Give me the green light.
But yeah, so I don't know. What else we got to say about The Rock for Prez?
Oh, so he's on the prediction market.
Oh, yeah.
So if you, here we go. If I type Pitbull Fast and Furious, it auto suggests 5 and 6. So I'm guessing, and soundtrack. So I'm guessing he's on a couple of these. So, so there are these prediction markets which let you bet on like random crap, and presidential elections is one of the biggest deals on them. And right now, The Rock is at plus 8,000, which is 80 to 1. Which is the same odds as Leonardo DiCaprio. So, like some notable people that have better odds include like Bernie and Trump again.
Yeah.
And you know, like, but then you could go down and The Rock is there at 80 to 1. So if you think The Rock's gonna be president in 2020.
It's a post-Trump world. Anybody can be president.
It's a post-truth. We're in alternative facts.
It turns out when people, you know, like when people said, you know, it's America. Anybody can be president. And everyone's kind of like, almost anybody. It's like, nope.
Well,
Anybody can.
no. It's there's that Simpsons episode where Homer, I forget if it's his teacher or his mom. Like it's a flashback to when he's a little kid. It's either his teacher or his mom's like, Homer, you could be anything you want, even president of the United States. And he goes and he says that to his dad, Abe. He goes, I can be anything I want, even president of the United States. And he's like, quit your daydreaming, Melonhead. He's like, we got a whole system set up to keep people like you from ever becoming president. And it's like, the system has failed.
Exactly.
No, because, the thing I used to always say to people, I used to go, just remember, any person is 2 elections away from being president, because you just need to become governor or senator, which you can just jump right into. Yeah. And then you can run for president. But, like, apparently that's off. Like, you can just... Yeah. Because everyone who tried that before, Steve Forbes, I almost said RuPaul, Ross Perot.
Similar, like, common to get those two mixed up.
Well, it's the same initials,
right? Yes, it is.
It didn't pan out too well, but Trump leveraged the post-factual nature of modern society to leverage that. Yeah, I don't know, man. The Rock, I'd if my choices were Trump and The Rock, I would vote for The Rock for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Well, that's the thing. Like, if it's him versus Trump, I feel like you could, again, he's the most paid actor, and we're trying to debate why, but that in itself tells you why, right? Because regardless of his acting chops or even necessarily the roles he's gotten, he's the highest paid actor.
But it could be because he has an awesome agent.
Yeah,
right.
He doesn't, but I think he has an awesome agent who also knows that he is in this very narrow area of, like, again, it's not that he's an amazing actor. It's just he's far more passable than the average for dudes who are huge.
Yeah, so I think that's actually correct. But on the agent point, to tie it back into wrestling, the whole thing about Lex Luger, who was not a good actor and not a good wrestler, was actually one of the highest paid wrestlers because he was one of the first guys to have an agent. Because he played football. Okay, so he, like, in his mind, he was like, if you're an athlete, like, you have an agent. Yeah. So he had an agent, and his agent negotiated his deal, and no one else was negotiating their deals. And so Luger was one of the highest paid dudes, and he was not good. Yeah. Like, even when they tried to push him to the moon with the patriotic Lex Express, they gave him a bus and, like, drove it around and did all these promos. Like, even when they were like, they put the whole company gung-ho behind him, it fell so flat that his big win was a disqualification against Yokozuna. He didn't actually win the title. It was like a whole mess, like Lex Luger. But there you go. Have an agent, kids. Have someone whose job, who is not emotionally invested, negotiating for you. Yes. Is that? I wonder if that's what Art of the Deal actually says. If it just says, have someone who's not emotionally invested.
I don't know. That sounds like it would make too much sense.
Right. Maybe the subtle subtext is, I'm a sociopath, and so I'm not. Well, that is part of the subtext. Invested.
But have you seen the Funny or Die, like,
the Kenny Loggins
dramatization?
Movie?
Kenny Loggins?
Well, he does the soundtrack for their fake.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack. Yeah. Right, with Johnny Depp as Donald Trump. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. Exactly.
And he's like, get me a new kid.
Yes. Oh man. All right. Well, I think that covers our topics. Check in tomorrow. Well, I got to actually make sure we're still doing this because I got to see if Eric's up for it and whatever. But we may or may not tomorrow be doing an episode on Hamilton, which is fairly overdue. But if not tomorrow, very soon. So check back, stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't on wherever you got this. And so wait, I got to make a thing to play at the end so I don't have to remember to say, like, and follow us on things. But anyway, do that. Follow us on things. And that's it. I'm turning it off now.